podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Networks on Sunday, November 17th, 2019. This is episode 1645. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Brave. Brave is the browser reimagined. Switch now to get unmatched speed and privacy to stop trackers from following you. It's the only browser I use. Save battery life and earn rewards by opting into privacy-respecting ads. Brave is free and easy to switch to. Go to brave.com/twit and switch to the best browser, Brave, today. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Yes, it's time to talk computers and the internet and home theater and digital photography and smartphones and smartwatches and all that jazz at 8888. Ask Leo. That's the phone number, 888-827-5536. That's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada, outside that area. You just call with Skype out or something like that. It should be free. 8888 Ask Leo. Website, techguylabs.com. And I mention that because I know a lot of you are busy doing other things. I know you don't focus all your attention on this show. Of course not. I don't blame you. We're background music for you. But that's okay, because if there is something you hear and you go, oh, wow, I didn't know that, or I'd like a link to that, or whatever, that's what the website's for. Everything is written there. As it is spoken, so it shall be written. Thanks to James DeRuvo. TechGuyLabs.com. It's free. There's no sign up. It's just like the internet used to be in the old days, where you just go to a website and it'd be there. There's even minimal advertising, but those advertisers are sufficient to pay for it, so we don't make you. TechGuyLabs.com. It's on my mind because the Sunday New York Times, today's New York Times, which has a picture of a wet, grumpy cat on the front of it, which is a very funny picture, is all about the internet. And the headline is, so the internet didn't turn out the way we hoped. It didn't turn out but you can't predict how things like this are going to happen. Do you think, when the first auto was invented, people knew what would happen from, fast forward 100-some years and wow. When TV was invented, well, maybe they had some idea of what it would be like, or radio. But the internet is kind of unpredictable. So this is a very interesting piece on, I guess, the idea that the internet has not only not turned out as we expected, but it's turned out in ways to kind of negative. This is the trend, by the way. I almost want to buck this trend. The new thing is, everything is rotten. We blew it. We screwed it up. Okay, boomers. It's all your fault. That kind of thing. And of course, one of the brunts of this is what used to be the shining exemplar of how everything is wonderful, the technology industry. And now all of a sudden, we don't, Google, Facebook, I was just reading a review by a friend, Ron Amadio, in Ars Technica, of the new Google phone, the Pixel 4, and he's just so cranky. It's such a negative review on a phone that is perfectly fine. I mean, did we forget what a miracle it is that we have in our pocket? A high-definition camera, a always connected internet device, the ability to communicate with anyone anywhere in the world instantaneously, to watch TV videos, to listen to audio, podcasts, and radio, and all of this is in our pocket. Did we forget that? Yeah, but it's got a really ugly chin on the. It's so expensive, and I don't know. I understand. You're a reviewer. You got to find the negative in life. That's part of the job of the reviewer. People often, hate critics because that's what they do. Criticize. They're critics. But at the same time, let's not forget. So here's the article from the New York Times, the Sunday Times Magazine. with Grumpy Cat in a variety of unpleasant states, muddied. It's an illustration. I don't think Grumpy ever posed. Grumpy's gone now, right? He's passed away. That's a sad thing. A cleaner internet if you can pay is the headline. And Kevin Roos, who's a very good tech reporter, one of the best out there, is talking about an interesting phenomenon, which is as the internet gets more and more junked up with ads and spyware and surveillance, the people who will have the clean internet will be the people who can afford it. There is an income inequality, a gap in the internet experienced by people who can pay. Well, we were talking yesterday with Scott Wilkinson about Hulu. He said, I don't like Hulu. I have to pay for it and I get ads. And I said, well, you just don't pay enough, Scott. You can absolutely get an ad-free Hulu if you're willing to pay. And ad-free almost anything if you're willing to pay. And he's got a good point. This isn't how it was supposed to be. In the early days, he quotes Tim Berners-Lee, the man who invented the World Wide Web. What happened? He said, in the old days, I could email anybody. It doesn't matter whether their account was Facebook or Google. But what's happening is people are walling off. They're creating, in effect, a walled, gated community, right? If you can afford it, you're inside. If you're not, well, sorry about your slow internet. Sorry about all those ads. There was a Pew study that just came out this week. They do a lot of surveys of people. And it had a kind of shocking conclusion that most Americans, the vast majority of Americans, think it's impossible to go through life without being surveilled by private industry and government. That there's no way you can, 60% of adults believe they cannot avoid data collection by corporations. 81% think the risks of corporate data collection outweigh the benefits. I have friends who will argue opposite, that, there are, with all the benefits we talk about all the time from the internet and even from Google, that there's a lot of benefit. I think there's a lot of benefit. But people are clearly concerned. And I don't know if that's the drumbeat cause. I have a feeling it's not just on, I don't know. What do you tell me? On your own, would you just think of this? Or is it that the media is always saying, oh, yeah, they're spying on you? Because I'll tell you one thing, and I understand, and we all have a right to privacy if it's not explicit in the Constitution. I think we do have a right to be private in our lives. I also think there's a benefit to trading away some of that privacy. When I arrive at the airport, my Android phone pops up a little notification saying, "Oh, your flight is at gate 43, terminal 2. It's on time." That's okay, right? And it knows that because it knows my travel plans, because Google, looks at my Gmail or whatever. Yeah, that's okay. What about the next step when it says, "Oh, I know you like a Frappuccino before your flight, and there's a Starbucks on your left 15 feet away." What about that? And what if Starbucks paid for that placement? What about that? I don't know. Maybe I want that Frappuccino. These are the conversations we need to have, but I don't think you want to necessarily say all of this is bad. Except that this drumbeat is going on. They're taking our private stuff. And often they don't have a concrete description of what the peril of that is. That's the other problem. Well, they know when your flight's leaving. Yeah. Well, isn't that awful? No. Well, someday that'll be bad. The government will come and get you. Oh, okay. If I were a fugitive from justice, I might agree. It's bad for fugitives from justice. I'll grant you that. I don't know. What do you think? I think sometimes we overstate the bad stuff, and we maybe sometimes understate the bad stuff as well. we live in interesting times. The old Chinese curse. We definitely live in interesting times, but I don't think it's all bad or all good. And I think we have, as citizens, probably the duty and right to talk about it, to figure out what we want, what we're comfortable with, what we're not comfortable with. I think maybe part of the anxiety that's going on comes from the feeling that even if we decided we didn't like it, there'd be nothing we could do about it. That we can no longer count on government to stop Google or Facebook or, honestly, I'm not on Facebook. I stopped using Facebook. I decided about a year and a half ago I didn't like what Facebook stood for, and I can live with the fact that I'm not constant touch with my high school sweetheart and my family, second cousin twice removed. Some people, they say, well, maybe I don't like Facebook, but I need that. And okay, then there's a problem, right? But I think you have a choice. We're not forced to do this. If you carry a smartphone, you're carrying a pretty good surveillance device. Maybe the choice would be, go with Apple because Apple says we're not going to surveil you as much as Google. I don't know. These are the things we talk about on the show. These are the things I think we as a society need to think about and talk about. But let's not throw out the baby with the bathwater. It's off. We're getting a lot of benefit. Let's not forget. And Ron, if you hate the Pixel 4, I understand, and you certainly don't have to buy one, and you're certainly well within your, duties to tell people not to buy one. But there are some pretty nice things in this phone. It's a nice phone. I have to say, and I tweeted that this morning. I took the iPhone 4 on my vacation, and I also took a very expensive, very high-end camera system and 4 lenses and a bunch of stuff. And the best, I was noticing, the best pictures are all from the iPhone. Maybe the iPhone is so good I no longer need to carry anything more. It's pretty good. I'll ask our photo guy, Chris Marquardt, about that. He's coming up in about an hour. 8888 Ask Leo. Let's get Kim Schaffer to work here. She's answering the phones, and we will get to your call next. I could not agree more, Maverick. He's saying how great the hands-on photography podcast, our newest podcast with Ant Pruitt is. I agree. Ant is fantastic. And what a great way to kind of learn photography. Oh, I was going to switch that. There we go. What a great way to learn photography. So what brings you up here, Brian? Are you on vacation or?
Visiting a girlfriend in Davis.
Nice. And, Davis? That's not that close.
Well, I'm in Altadena, but she's up here tutoring her daughter.
Oh, nice. Nice.
For her last year of college. Yeah, call them up.
Well, I get what you're saying. This guest mic is for the person sitting there. I thought you were talking about that. So where'd you put it? I know we were talking about that, the room mic.
It's stealth.
It's very stealthy. So now I can hear you, Brian.
Okay. Well, yeah.
Look at that. Oh, it sounds good too, John.
Right there. All right.
Is it directional? Because it sounds great.
Okay. Yes.
It's really good. I don't hear a lot of room noise or anything.
Well, I had the gain up. I turned the gain down, but
there's a little room noise, but it's not bad. And the voice is.
It's attached to the pipe grid, so if the air conditioning vibrates.
Yeah, I hear a little slight air conditioning hiss. That's all. Well, the studio is pretty clean anyway. So, well, good. Welcome.
Thank you. I was here a year ago.
Oh.
Around Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Welcome back then.
Thank you.
Yeah. What do you do for a living?
Retired from Jet Propulsion Lab.
Oh, I remember you.
I worked at on the Voyager spacecraft.
Yeah, we talked about it. Yeah.
A couple other spacecraft.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
I would just so I'm catching up on TV since we were gone for a month and didn't watch TV, which I felt very good about. Lisa's saying, "Are you sure we want to start watching TV again?" I said, "Well, I got to watch these Apple TV shows." So there's one called For All Mankind. The morning show's terrible. But there's one called For All Mankind, and I didn't like the idea because the premise was alternate universe, but very close to ours. But what if the Soviets landed a month or two before Apollo 11 was? And it's an interesting premise. And at first I was pissed off. I thought, but they didn't. It made me mad. But I watched the first episode last night, and actually it was really interesting. I think you'd be interested since you're into aerospace. One of the most interesting things is they've preserved a lot of the kind of tiny details that real Apollo fans will recognize in it. So Margaret Hamilton's in it, the programmer who wrote the code for the guidance computer, and they have the 1202 error, but they do it in a simulation. It's really interesting. Okay. So I recommend it. Right. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the unbreakable Kimmy Schaffer. She don't take no Schaffer. Hello, Kimmy.
Good morning.
Well, that was a little peppy.
I've had a lot of coffee today.
Good morning. How are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you.
You've been answering the phones, okay, right?
I have, yes.
Is anybody calling?
A lot of people are calling.
Okay, good.
Yeah, the second the lines were open, they were filled. So
because I was gone for a couple of weeks, and that darn Rich DeMuro's so good looking and so talented, and I thought maybe they've all just abandoned me. You know who Wally Pipp is?
Wally Pipp?
Yeah.
No.
No one knows who Wally Pipp is.
Who's Wally Pipp?
He was the first baseman for the New York Yankees who got a headache and said, can I sit this one out, coach? And the guy said, well, I got this rookie named Lou Gehrig. Let's try him out. Wally Pipp never got to play for the Yankees ever again.
That was a mistake. Don't get a headache.
I will not get a headache.
Moral of the story, don't get a headache.
Coach. I'm ready to play. Who should I answer?
Jim in Ventura.
Okay.
Line 4.
Line 4. Thank you. Hello, Jim. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Good morning, Leo. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for calling.
I'm a bit of a Luddite and left over from the olden days of great stereo audio, and I have discovered the Sonos amplifier, which I have hooked up to a couple of clip speakers, and it sounds great. And I've got my multimedia setup all tied up, which includes a turntable, by the way.
Nice.
But the other, well,
one of the reasons you use a Sonos instead of, say, a nice Macintosh tube amp is because the Sonos is internet connected. And so you can control it with your phone, and you can stream audio from a variety of music and other kinds of streaming services. So if you
think about it, virtually anything ever recorded.
Yeah. It's kind of cool. I'm a huge Sonos fan. From years ago, I have an ungodly amount of Sonos equipment. And you're smart to put them on the clips because those are really great classic speakers.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Plus, they're headquartered in Indianapolis, Indiana, and I'm kind of a halfway Hoosier, so you gotta go with the team.
Is clips? I guess they're still around. Are they? I mean, I remember the old days of the giant wooden enclosed clip.
They still make all that stuff.
They do.
You are going to pay dearly for it.
Oh man, I'd love a pair of clip.
You could get the Los Scalas and stuff like that,
but they also do now the kind of more modern USB or the Bluetooth speakers and stuff.
Well, they do all that, but the ones I have are just hardwired.
Nice.
So it's
very nice. Yeah, that's a nice combination. Yeah.
So here's my dilemma. I was watching a movie the other day, and on the credits it said stereo mix by. And I went, oh, no. If they got to hire a guy to do a stereo mix, all you surround sound guys are taken over, and the next thing I know, you can cut me out easily.
They credited somebody for doing a stereo mix.
Doing the stereo mix.
That's fantastic. So I think this is a good thing. So you're right. Most movies now are mixed in 5.1 or 7.1. They're in Dolby. They're encoded. And that's because people with fancy home theaters might have all of those speakers, 6, 7, 8 speakers. But most people don't. And often one of the calls I get a lot is I can't understand dialogue in a movie because when it's mixed that way, the assumption is you have a center channel dedicated to dialogue, a speaker just for voice. And when it's done that way and you do have the proper speakers, you can understand the dialogue. But when you mix that whole thing down to just 1 or 2 speakers, often the music, the sound effects are so much louder than the dialogue, you can't make out what anybody's saying. So I think this is a response to that. And in fact, I think this is something new, not something.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I don't think this is a beginning of the end for old stereo mixes. I think this is something new that they actually do it. I think for a while there was this brief period of time where everything was 5.1 and it wasn't a good thing for people who didn't have all those speakers. So I hope this is a trend in the positive direction. Now, we have a lot of listeners in Hollywood. So if you're in Hollywood and you're making movies or making TV shows, be aware of this. Not everybody has that fancy Dan system you've got in your house or your studio or your mixing area or your edit bay. Most people don't have multiple speakers. So give us a nice mix.
There was a time when stereo in movie theaters was actually 3-channel. I mean, a long time ago.
Yeah, a long time, by the way.
It really was,
Sure.
center channel, left and right.
For a long time, I had this argument with Scott Wilkinson because I only had 2 speakers, and I loved that. 2 nice speakers on my TV, and I loved it. But it did get harder and harder to hear dialogue, and other things were going on. And now, Scott says, well, you need the upward firing Atmos speakers, too. I don't want that. So, in a way, let's say thank you that they're considering and keeping in mind
the stereo mix. It's a good thing. Thank you.
Yeah. Let's hope that is not a beginning of the end, but only a beginning of the beginning. That would be my hope. I think that's fascinating that they're saying stereo mix by. They're crediting the stereo guy. That's hysterical. Go ahead.
You remember a comedian named Rita Rudner?
Oh, yeah. Love Rita Rudner.
She used to have a routine where she said, I'll buy a CD player, but only if they promise that's the last thing they invent.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah. Well,
I think of her every time. So, they've just done the 50th anniversary of Abbey Road. And last year they did the White Album. The year before they did Sgt. Pepper because it's the 50th. And I'm buying it like an idiot, thinking, how many versions of Abbey Road? Because it was it was the first vinyl LP I bought with my money.
Oh.
It's back in
Not a bad choice.
No, good choice. That was 70, I think, 69 or 70. And I'm thinking, how many versions of Abbey Road have I bought now? And how many more am I going to be buying?
Yeah.
But, the Beatles need the money.
And they have, by the way, a surround sound version of Abbey Road.
Oh, I know. Giles Martin's been remixing everything.
Yeah.
The most interesting thing I bought, because I went through this period of buying audiophile stuff, one of Paul McCartney's records, I can't remember if it's RAM or one of his records, you can buy in 2 versions. One is the compressed, know how they compress everything now, dynamic range compression. One was the compressed version, the one that was distributed. One was an uncompressed version. And the sound stage on that, the definition in the instruments, everything was so amazing. It was like a different album. I loved it. And so you might want to look for that because those will sound great on your clips.
Well, the other thing, if you're really hardcore, the stuff that's wonderful to find is the stuff from the 70s that was recorded direct to disc.
Oh, I remember that, direct to disc.
They were just bypassing tape.
Yeah.
And doing it in effect the old way. In fact, not literally the old way, but
direct to the vinyl lathe. Yeah.
Yes, direct to the lathe.
Wow.
And if you find those things, they sound incredible.
Yeah, because of course the medium they were using at the time was tape, and that was the alternative. Although there's a guy, I wish I could remember his name. He does audiophile restorations, and it turns out when they record on tape, you would know this. They use a bias tone. And it's inaudible, but he was using the bias tone to mix out the wobble, because there's slight variations in speed, so the bias tone will change in frequency, and so he used that bias tone as a way to detect the tape wobble or warp or whatever was causing it, flutter, and correct for it. And I thought that was quite interesting. There's a name for this process. I can't remember.
So the audiophile world is full of some wonderful stuff and a few nutcases who.
Yeah, I'll grant you that. I bought a lot of 24-bit audio until I realized I can't really tell the difference. But as I get older, that's the sad thing. Those of us who still appreciate it are too old to actually hear it.
Yeah, well, a lot of life is like that.
Yeah, isn't it? Youth is wasted on the young. Hey, it was a pleasure talking to you.
Mine also. Thank you very
Jim,
much.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Perfect choice. Thank you, Lady Laura. Our music director loves the old-time rock and roll. Dr. Mom's on the line. She is our expert in all things Echo, Amazon Echo. And I'm so glad to talk to you, Dr. Mom.
Hey, Leo. How you doing? I hope you had a great vacation.
Oh, man, it was awesome. And, thanks to you, because you gave me your travel agent, Jane at Travel Story. She's great.
She is a gem.
She is a gem, yeah. So,
well,
what's new?
While you were gone.
Yes.
While you were gone.
Yes.
They sent me the Amazon Echo earbuds. And I've been using them the past 2 weeks.
So this is a really interesting category all of a sudden, thanks to Apple and their new AirPod Pro. Earbuds are wireless. They're Bluetooth. And with the exception of Apple's crappy AirPods, and I want to emphasize crappy AirPods, which just kind of sit on your ear and fall out. Most of the good stuff, and I have a Jabra Elite, I have a number of them. I have the Samsung. I think a number of reviewers consider, believe it or not, the Samsung Galaxy Buds to be the best sounding, better even than the Apple AirPod Pros. But they have a tip that goes deeper into your ear, seals, so you get better bass, and they are much less prone to ejection, ear ejection. As you said in the chat room, you were boogieing to Bob Seger, so that's when you get the ear ejection factor. So, what do you think of these Galaxy Buds? They're very inexpensive. How much were they? Not Galaxy Buds, Amazon Buds. They're very inexpensive, right?
It was $128, which is not bad. They're actually made by Bose, so the sound quality is Bose. You have to like Bose sound.
You know what we always say? No highs, no lows. Must be Bose.
Exactly.
I don't actually agree with that, but okay.
They actually look very similar to a set of Bose I have, the Soundsports, which is what I usually go jogging around in.
So it sounds like Amazon basically relabeled something existing.
Well, I think they were cooperative with it. They're slightly different than the Soundsports. They come in a case. Couple of things. They are not noise eliminating. They're noise reducing.
Yeah.
And that's very dependent on you get a good fit with the earplug.
So noise reducing merely means, as you say, they seal the ear. Apple's AirPod Pros and others like the Bose Quiet Comforts do what we call active noise cancellation. They have microphones which pick up the ambient sound and then flip reverse the polarity so that it negates itself. And that they have, with some success. But these don't do that. They just seal it out. Actually, I think that works better, honestly.
There's some level of active noise reduction because you have two modes. You have what they call pass-through, which lets you hear the outside world. So if you're walking, you can hear cars coming at you and such.
Yeah.
And if you switch between the two of them, even with the earplugs in all the way, you can actually hear a difference in the amount of sound that's passed through. So there's some amount of reduction. It's just not noise cancellation. Right. Now, the pluses on this that I found, you only have to wear one. If for some reason you don't want to wear both of them.
A lot of these, if you take one out, it silences it.
No, this one, if it takes one out, it will stop it, but then it'll realize, nope, she's just left one in, and it'll go back to play.
I like that because I often do want to wear just one.
It does one.
Yeah.
It comes with the recharging case similar to the other ones, good for a couple of charges. And the sound is, like I said, if you like Bose, it's decent. Now, a couple of things to worry about with these. They send it to you, and they give you a set of rubber flanges you can add to the earbud. If you want to, that gives you that little hook to get it to secure your ear.
I've seen a lot of people do that. It's just a little bit more so it doesn't fall out. Yeah.
If you do that, it's very hard to get it to sit properly in the case. And I've had it where I thought it was in.
Oh.
Wasn't in.
That's not good.
It didn't charge, and it didn't disconnect from my phone. So I'm suddenly looking, and my phone isn't ringing or anything because it's ringing through these earbuds that are in the case.
Not good.
So you really have to make sure that you popped it all the way in.
Okay.
You have the option. It's always listening for you to say what's your wake-up word. And in this case, the only option you have is the
A word.
one.
Really? You can't use computer or Amazon, the other wake-up words, or Echo?
That may change. They may change. You have, if you do the tap and hold, you can have it either activate Siri or Google Assistant.
Okay. So you can use whatever's on your phone as well.
Right. You actually, it's very interesting. You get a choice of whether you want the tap and hold to be the Amazon Assistant or your phone's basic one. And I have no reason why you'd want to ever have it being the Amazon one.
Right.
Because it's already listening all the time anyway.
Right.
You can turn the mic off on it so it's not listening, so it's just acting as a pair of headsets. the one thing I wish they'd done, and it's the only reason I keep using my Bose soundboards, it doesn't have a pulse sensor in it. My Bose soundboards.
Turns out anything that's in your ear like that has all sorts of potential as a kind of fitness monitor, because it can not only sense heart rate but other things as well. So
and this one doesn't have the sensors built in. There may be a Generation 2 or Generation 3 or a sport version coming along at some point. But I went jogging with them. They stayed put. I went to the gym, worked out. They stayed put. The sound is as good as you expect from any Bose. You get about 6 to 8 hours of sound. Now, I was on the train both to and from L.A. This weekend, and I will tell you the sound reduction was adequate, that I could, on the train, I didn't feel like I was hearing all the rattle and roll coming in from the train, but I could still hear what was going on.
I will not go on an airplane without, and I've used noise canceling. I have Bose and others, but I actually prefer the Etymotics, which is a high-end in-ear monitor, and it has flanges. It goes so deep in your ear. For some people, I have that cough reflex. I'm one of those people who, if you poke my ear, I go. Some people, it actually might make you gag a little bit, but it seals so well, you can't hear a thing, which may not be safe on an airplane. I guess they'll tap me if they need me to jump out of the airplane, put on a parachute. But I prefer that. It's not active noise canceling. It's just silent. And you don't hear babies crying. You don't hear anything.
I mean, I had a set of those too a while ago, and the company, I can't remember whose they made, had a little dingus attached to you that you clipped on your chest that you could push a button to let the sound come through from the outside. You had to talk to somebody. Yeah,
that whole idea of ambient sound is not new. That's been around since the Sony Walkman. You could do it with a Walkman.
Right.
I'm going to have to say I haven't tried these yet. It seems to me the Apple AirPod Pro is really overpriced, is really expensive. There's a huge profit margin in headphones. That's why one of the reasons Apple bought Beats. It's a big moneymaker. The Galaxy Buds are the same price as the Amazon without using the assistant. You get no assistant, but they, I think, sound quite good. They fit quite well, and they're only $130. If you want an assistant, it sounds like the Amazon would be a good choice.
Yeah, I agree. They're fine. The one thing I miss is the pulse, but they didn't build it in, and a lot of people wouldn't miss that.
Well, you must wear a fitness watch or something like that, right?
I do, but the point is that I find they're not as reliable as the in-ear pulse monitors. Those are probably the best, unless you want to wear something on your finger. And if I do that, it's going to go flying off every time I swing a kettlebell.
Dr. Mom is not named Dr. Mom for nothing. She's a physician, and so... I heard that the wrist is not the ideal spot for a heart rate monitor. Apple does pretty well with it, but yeah.
It's the same way it's not a great spot for a pedometer, because I can sit there and knit and get 5,000 steps a day knitting.
I have to
my
say,
wrist is moving around.
The Apple Watch is getting better, though. When I was on the elliptical, after a minute or two, it says, "It looks like you're doing an elliptical. Would you like me to record that?" "Oh, yeah, thank you." Or, "It looks like you're doing an outdoor walk. Would you like me to record that?" "Oh, yeah." So they're getting a little better at kind of understanding what's going on. But you're right. I mean, it's your wrist.
Well, what it's actually doing is it's looking to see while you're moving if your GPS is moving around.
Right. And then what kinds of motion, with an elliptical, your arm's going in a circle and stuff like that. I appreciate the review. Thank you, Dr. Mom.
Okay. Talk to you when something else new comes out.
Yes, she's queen. The A-word queen. Dr. Mom. 8888 Ask Leo. We're going to take a little break. When we come back, more of your calls. Chris Marquardt, the photo guy, also coming up in about 45 minutes. Let's talk high tech, you and me. Yeah, I'm still a Galaxy Buds fan. That's my go-to. All right, what else? Here's a Arabian coffee setup. I went to the Coffee Museum in Dubai. That was fun. That was really fun. Oh, you know what's the best thing? The spice souks. They're really cool. Actually, this was not the spice souk. This was next to the Hindu temple, and they were selling flowers for offerings. That was kind of cool. Here's a spice souk. Look at those spices. Man, it smells so good too. This is kind of a cliched picture. I have this picture every time I go to a spice souk. I have this picture. The Dubai Metro is kind of amazing. Super clean, super fast, really was wonderful. Here you go. Here's this is, I think, an iPhone picture of, look at that. That's from the Burj Khalifa, tallest building in the world. And they have a balcony, which is really nice, open-air balcony on the 152nd floor. So it's hard to get a picture through the glass, obviously. So this is not through the glass, and this is at sunset. It was really gorgeous. This is from an iPhone. It's a pano from an iPhone. I love this. If you're familiar with the Apple TV screensaver, there's an amazing drone shot of Dubai that's going down. This is the Prince Zayed Highway. Here, this goes all the way to Abu Dhabi. And it just goes down this highway. And the first time I saw it, I thought, oh, that's fake. That's CGI. Because it looked too futuristic. But it really does look like that. Oh, yeah, here's Lisa hanging out over the balcony, just to prove it's an open-air balcony. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I ain't got no money after buying the new Apple MacBook Pro 16-inch, the new Apple iPhone, the new Google Pixel 4 phone. Ain't got no money. 88, but I do it for you. I do. 8888, ask Leo. That's the phone number. At least that's what I tell my wife. Johnny, Atlanta, Georgia. Hello, Johnny.
Hey, Leo, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I have to disagree with you on something, though.
Uh-oh.
I watched that morning show myself.
What, you liked it?
It took me a little while. I don't know if you've caught up with all 5 episodes that have been released.
No, I haven't. No, I haven't.
Give it a shot.
Okay.
I think it's really fascinating, especially where they're taking the story and the the Steve Carell character and all the.
That was an add-on after the fact. The original conception, they fired the showrunner and did something different. The original conception was it was just going to be about the kind of the tension between the 2 female anchors on the morning show, Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon. Actually, but then they added after the fact. They said we should have a little Me Too stuff. So they brought in that whole Me Too thing.
Yeah, and so what it is, it's like the political infrastructure there at the TV station.
And
right?
I normally love TV shows about TV because I work in TV. It's just fun for me to see that. There was an Aaron Sorkin show that was a massive flop called Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip, and then he also did one called Newsroom. And this feels to me like Sorkin light. Like they tried to get Aaron Sorkin to do it, and he said, I've done it. And so they got somebody and they told him, make it Aaron Sorkin-like. But there's a genius to Aaron Sorkin that's just a little bit missing on this. But you're right, it grows on you as you start to get to know the characters. And I've got to the point where Reese Witherspoon has been rehearsing and is about ready to make her big debut.
Her big debut, right.
So
and it's really interesting how they're bringing in her character because she's the one that's going to be kind of like, okay, I don't believe that you people didn't know what was going on with Steve Carell during all this time. So
that does make it interesting, doesn't it? In fact, she's kind of right, isn't she? Oh, I shouldn't say anything. No spoilers. Oh, I've spoiled.
No spoiler. But I don't know if everyone knows, but if you put the Apple TV app on any of your iOS devices, you can watch, I believe, the first 2 episodes.
Oh, good. And if you buy any new Apple device, including an Apple TV for a couple $100, you get a free year. So
No. Let me tell you why. I bought an Apple Series 5 watch. And believe it or not, I don't get it for a year.
Oh.
So I thought I was going to get it for a year, then I realized I wasn't. But then they hooked me on that show, so I went ahead and signed up for the trial so that I could watch. They're going to release an episode every Friday up until 10 episodes. And then I think they've already signed on for a second season.
So this is a really interesting question because what Apple's doing is, of course, what everybody's doing, but there's a big difference. Apple doesn't have the back catalog that all these other companies, CBS and Disney and all these other companies have. So they're kind of in a competitive challenge. Nobody knows what the shows are. And so they've got to get you to watch them. And they got to get you to like them. And frankly, they need a big hit. They need a Stranger Things. They need a House of Cards. They need a Game of Thrones. They need something that people say, oh my God, you've got to pay for Apple TV Plus. This show is so good. And I don't know if they have that yet.
Yeah, I mean, it remains to be seen.
Yeah.
But anyway, the reason I'm calling today is I know you like the Raspberry Pis as far as
I love them.
Little projects to play with, and so I'm an IT guy, but I've never had much use to really do much serious with them. But then I found an article last week where it said turn your old stereo system into a Bluetooth receiver.
Oh, in other words, sonify it.
Yes, exactly.
Make it like a Sonos. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I don't know. Have you ever heard of Balena Cloud? Balena Cloud, Balena.
No. Let me write it down. What is that?
Balena Cloud, or the actual. It's the name of the company is Balena, Balena.
Okay.
And if I think you go to balena.io.
Okay.
And there was an article they originally published in July, and they updated in October, I think, because I bought the Raspberry Pi 3B Plus or 3 Plus B. I forgot what the models are.
The relatively new one, yeah.
Yeah, I think they've come out with a 4B since then.
Right.
So anyway, I found this article very interesting. I thought, well, here's a good project to play with. So I did it. I ordered the Raspberry Pi 3B. I followed their directions. It has its own operating system. It's called Balena OS, and you put it on there. And you got to be a little bit techie here because you've got to use some source from GitHub, and you got to clone it down to your PC, and you got to push it out to your device. But if you're playing with a Raspberry Pi, you're a little techie already anyway.
Yeah, I should explain for people listening. The Raspberry Pi is a $35 complete computer. It's everything except the keyboard, mouse, and monitor. And it's really impressive. It has Wi-Fi and Bluetooth built in. It's not super fast, but boy, for the price, it's great. And it's perfect for projects. So Balena is an open source, because you need software, obviously. It's a computer. It's open source software that lets you turn your Raspberry Pi into basically an IoT hub, Internet of Things hub. So you can control a lot of things. There are other projects like this. You should look at OpenHab as well, which is OpenHab, HAB.org. It is also free open source IoT, kind of more around home automation cloud. I think you're going to see a lot of these. The problem we have with all of this is it's a Tower of Babel. Everybody's got a different protocol, a different language. If you've got Hue Lights, you need a Hue hub. If you've got Sonos, you need a Sonos hub. And it's just nobody talks to anybody else, and that's not what we want. We'd like it to have one hub that controls the whole house.
Yeah, but what I like about this, I guess, is because I have so many, little tablets and phones. I've got the iPhone 10, I've got the Pixel 4, I've got an iPad. I like having the fact that I can just quickly, hook that up to Bluetooth, like in the room I'm using it in, and nothing fancy. So I was able to get all this to work beautifully, and I was very tickled.
Very nice.
However, I got the new Pixel 4. Which has Android 10 on it. And
isn't that the worst phone you've ever seen? Just joking. I read this. I was talking about it at the beginning of the hour.
I know the reviews haven't been that
negative review. I think it's a great phone. I don't know why people are so negative about it.
Yeah, I like it. So anyway, it will. If I go into the Bluetooth settings, I can see that device, that new Raspberry Pi device.
Yeah.
But when I click on it, Leo, nothing happens. It never says pairing. It never says anything. It just you just take your finger and you hit it, nothing happens.
Oh.
And I'm wondering. And this is a brand new phone, so I don't want to reload Bluetooth or.
No. You shouldn't have to do that. I'm thinking there's just some way you need to trigger. You know how Bluetooth it doesn't, for security reasons. It shouldn't. Many devices do, but it shouldn't stay visible all the time. It should only be visible when you say, I want to be visible. And so I would say you need to both tell the Raspberry Pi and the Pixel 4 that you're doing the pairing thing. There's this new...
And I have.
And it still doesn't do it.
But the thing is, usually most devices say pairing, right? And if there's a problem, it probably...
Yeah, something will happen. Yes, and it'll give you a code or something.
Nothing.
I wonder if the Pi Bluetooth module is enabled. Do you try other devices and it works fine?
Yeah, everything works beautifully. I even have a Nexus 7, which has got an older Android on it. It hooks up fine. Okay, that's my only other.
Maybe the bad reviews on the Pixel 4 are justified. I don't know. I'll look into this one because this is new to me.
Well, but anyway, I do enjoy this. Like I said, this little device. I got the case for it, so it just kind of sits.
It's pretty neat. Yeah.
Yeah, it just plugs into a RCA. RCA.
I would just point out that if you're doing projects, you expect troubles. If you don't want troubles, you buy it from a company and they troubleshoot it. So this is part of being a project guy, but it's a fun project, and it'll work. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Let's take a break. More of your calls right after this. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography. We got your smartphones. We got your smartwatches. We got your earbuds. Anything you want to talk about, you give me a ring. 8888 Ask Leo. I can't promise satisfaction in all regards, but between me, the chat room, we got a nice couple of hundred people in the Tech Guy chat room, and of course the several 100,000 million people listening to the show. We can get an answer to almost anything. 8888 Ask Leo. The website is free. It's open to all. There's no sign up. It's techguylabs.com, and it has everything we talk about on the show there. Links, all of that stuff. Thanks to James DeRuvo. After the fact, we also put audio and video from the show there. So if you miss a show, that's where you can find it. techguylabs.com. On the line from Yucaipa, Patisse. Hi, Patisse.
Hello, Leo.
Hello, Patisse.
I am hoping that you can help me with something. About a year ago, I have 2 hard drives. One I store all my data on. The other one has my operating system. And about a year ago, the one with all my data just basically died. So I sent it off to one of those very expensive data recovery places because there was actually physical damage to it. And they managed to recover the files.
Oh, nice. How much did that cost, just out of curiosity?
$800.
Oh, you got a deal. It can cost thousands.
Oh, well, then I feel better.
You got a deal, but...
But then now I'm noticing when I try to open, I have Windows 10, when I try to open up my photos, some of the photos will open and the other ones won't. And what it's telling me, it looks like we don't support this file format.
Yeah, so that photo got corrupted. So one of the problems with restoring from a damaged drive is you can restore some of the data, but some of it might be lost. And if in a photo, or actually any file, if a chunk is gone, it may not be readable. And I bet you that's what happened to those particular ones.
Well, I've been doing a lot of research. Is there any sort of a photo repair for corrupted program?
Sometimes there is, but it just depends on where the damage is. So any file is a collection of bits and bytes, but almost always, there's different extensions. There's JPEGs, there's PNGs, there's TIFFs. There's all different extensions for photos. Each one of those file formats, is what we call them, has a different layout to the data in it. There's only a couple of formats that are just the bits from the picture. BMP, the old Windows BMP file, is one. But almost all these others, JPEGs, which are the most common, because they're compressed, you can't just read out the data from the file and reconstruct the picture. You have to have information, and it sounds like, and in the header, and it sounds like that might be what is lost. So even a bit of a file being gone might mean that it's not reconstructible because of the compression.
Well, I've been doing, I'm assuming that they're corrupted, but I've been doing some research, like I said, and there's something called Stellar Phoenix and Recover It. And
yeah, I mean, there are programs out there.
Of those, are they worth the money?
Well, maybe. So it just depends what the damage is. If it were a BMP file, yeah, because a BMP file has the pixels in order, and even if you lost the top of the picture, the bottom would still be there. But that's not how it works with many other file formats. They're not just kind of the data with a little something at the front saying what it is. They have other information in there. So I can't say that they won't recover it. I can't say that they will. Are they really expensive?
I don't even know. I've just been doing some research, and some of them are like $80, maybe $100, or something like that.
I wish they would let you run it and show you what they could do with one image, because then it would tell you. But the fact that they don't maybe is a cause for concern.
Exactly.
If I were making this program and I, was confident about its abilities to recover a photo, I'd say, well, good, try this on, here's a trial version. Try it for one photo. They don't have trial versions at all?
I haven't seen any. I've seen a couple of little videos that they have on YouTube where they're showing you what they do. But
I'm looking at Stellar, and it is not intended to fix what is wrong with your files. It's intended to recover deleted files. That's a very big difference.
Right.
What you're looking for is a photo recovery program. It's not that the file's deleted, it's the file's damaged. You want something that will fix a damaged file.
Well, crud.
Yeah, no, I don't want to preach. Yeah, good, okay. Because I don't want to be a preacher here, but that's why you back up. It's a very costly lesson to learn, I'm sorry to say.
Yeah, it is. All right, well, thank you so much.
All right, I'm sorry. Yeah, there are, so there's some files that can be corrupted, that can be reconstructed, and maybe you've had this experience with your email, for instance. Suddenly, email's all messed up, and there's a rebuild the database command in most email programs. That's because the database is corrupted, but the actual files, the actual emails are still there, so it can recreate that. It's a complicated thing to do. And if a file were just, like for instance, if your word processor files were just a bunch of text, well, if you've lost the font style or the paragraph information, at least you'd get the text back, right? But the problem is a lot of word processor files aren't just the text. Microsoft Word, for instance, does some really weird things with the text. And you can tell this, there are programs out there, and maybe this is, I don't know, maybe this is worth it's not going to work with a photography program, but if you had a text file that were damaged and you wanted to recover it, there are programs, they call them hex editors, that let you, or there are other programs that will do this, that let you just open the contents without making any assumptions at all about what it is. Is it a photo? Is it a word? We don't know. We'll just show you what data's on the disk. Sometimes that's useful, and I've used hex editors to do this, because you can see what the data is on the disk. And certainly in a word processor file, you could see if the raw text is there and even extract it by hand, manually. But a photo is a little bit of a different beast, I'm sorry to say. And honestly, the formats that they put those in, I think you can't just rebuild the picture from it. BMP files were like that. Uncompressed TIFFs, TIF files might be recoverable that way, but most TIFFs are compressed. JPEGs are heavily compressed, and that compression means you can't just say, well, here's a bit, that's the sky, another bit, another bit, another bit. Now here comes the tree, another bit, another bit. It's not like that. It's junk, basically, junk. Sorry to say. 8888 asks, Leo, speaking of photos, we're going to talk with our photo guy, Chris Marquardt. We've got a new assignment. Hot. He's going through the alphabet. So last time we did golden, G. Now we're on H. He's looking for a picture, an image that illustrates the word or concept hot. And the way we work these, it's not a contest, understand. There's no prize. It's just a challenge to get out there and take pictures. So you can upload as many as one a week to our Flickr group, the Tech Guy group on the Flickr.com site. Tag it with the word TG hot. And in about 3 weeks, we're going to take a look at them, and Chris will pick 3. I don't play because, I was embarrassed the last few times I did. He picked my photo, and I don't know, it should be your photo. So, hot. I have some golden pictures, but I didn't submit them, and I'm going to take some hot pictures too. You can too. You don't have to submit them. But if you want to, Chris will be reviewing them in a few weeks, and he's going to come up in a few minutes. Hello, Chris Marquardt.
Hello.
I had such a good golden picture.
I want to see it still. Bring it up.
Oh, man.
Well, welcome back, by the way.
Thank you. I really don't want to compete in this because, it's embarrassing. But
no, but come on. We talked about this golden.
So this was.
Is it the one from Petra? No.
No. Well, that's golden too.
Yeah.
This is from the Burj Khalifa in Dubai. We went up there for the sunset, the golden hour. And what's nice is that the streets are golden too.
Everything's golden.
It's golden. It's so pretty up there. It was so fun. And what's nice, it's impossible to take a decent picture through the glass. But even on the 154th floor, they have an open air balcony.
That helps.
They say don't stick your camera out over the ledge, but of course, that's exactly
Everyone
what Lisa does. What a beautiful view from up there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Did you do any long exposures up there, or just?
No, I didn't bring a I don't think they let you bring a tripod.
Well, but then the Sony shoots in
it's 61 megapixels.
Pure darkness.
There's plenty of detail and resolution. But yeah, you're right. Shoot, I wish I'd thought of that. This is why I need a professional along with me. If I'd thought of a long exposure, that would have been something, wouldn't it? Would have been
I'm for hire.
I think this is an iPhone. That's the funny thing.
The way it renders the sunset, the brighter part of the horizon.
This is the iPhone.
That looks a bit like an iPhone shot, funny? But it's amazing.
Yeah, these are all with the iPhone. That's hysterical. I do have some A7 images, but I think they need a little processing, to be honest with you. The iPhone just comes out ready to go if they process internally. Yeah. The other problem with the 61 megapixel images is they take forever to load in photos. They're so big. So
did you take the sand in the air shot in Petra?
No, I didn't. You know why? I knew I had my assignment. I knew you wanted me to, but there really wasn't any sand. It's all paved.
Oh, really?
It's pretty much paved. Yeah. So I didn't really. Also, I didn't want to. There's so many people that had I done that, I would have thrown sand in somebody's eye. So I really didn't.
Yeah.
But I have to tell you, I'll show you my best picture from Petra. I loved Petra. It's a photographer. Have you been there?
No, I have not, but I have seen pictures. I've
my God,
heard
you
people
have to go.
tell me about it. So it is.
It's a
it is definitely on my
dream.
list.
I'll show you my best image from Petra, and it's maybe a little bit heavily saturated. I might have to go back, and I just did a quick edit. But I really love this. We climbed up. I followed a donkey up like some steps, and I found a family that lives up above Petra.
Look at that. There's nothing wrong with the processing on that one.
Well, this is the color of the rock, but the image I got was a little bit, so I saturated a little bit more. That's all.
Yeah.
Anyway, we shall talk. Must be 30 times I've bought this song. Most recently, last month, with the 50th release of Abbey Road. 50th anniversary release. But you know what? The Beatles are worth it. And I hear they need the money. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. I'd love to hear from you. Jack in Los Angeles, you're next. Hi, Jack.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. I'm in the market for a new laptop. I have a 6-year-old Lenovo. I really want a Surface Pro, I think, but I'm not sure if it's the best value.
It's not the best value, but it is a very nice laptop. Everybody really seems to like it. I've played with a lot of them. I have a Surface Studio. I had a Surface Book. I have the new Surface laptop. I have not done the Surface Pro, and the only reason I haven't is I'm a keyboard guy. I like a good keyboard. And remember, the Surface Pro is a tablet with a detachable keyboard that isn't a great keyboard. I mean, it's for what it is, it's fine. Now, you had a Lenovo. Did you have a ThinkPad?
Yes.
Those have, and that 6-year-old ThinkPad certainly have the best keyboards ever made. So you really should go try typing on the Surface Pro before you buy it. That screen is gorgeous. Microsoft's made a nice product, but it is a little pricey, and it is not a great keyboard. So that's something to keep in mind if a keyboard's important to you. I like touch. I do like touch. I wouldn't hesitate to look at a current ThinkPad.
That was my other question.
Yeah. A lot of ThinkPad enthusiasts say, they're not as good as they used to be. IBM sold the company some years ago to Lenovo, which is a Chinese company. I have had many ThinkPads. I like them a lot. If you like thin and light, the ThinkPad X1 Carbon is amazing. I actually tend to go with a little bit heavier and more robust T-Series, but they're excellent. The T490, excellent laptops. Maybe, again, not the best value. They're less expensive than Microsoft, but they are built like tanks. You cannot damage them. You'll get at least 6 years out of it. And, man, I do like a good keyboard. I really do.
Is there a good keyboard that will convert like the yoga or flip.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So there is a ThinkPad Yoga. So if you want one, that they call those 2-in-1s. So the thing about the Surface is it's a tablet, kind of like the iPad. I mean, it's just a tablet. And then it comes with a magnetically attached flimsy keyboard that props it up. And so that's the design of it. It's really Microsoft, I think, some years ago, panicking at the sales on the iPad, which of course have since tapered off, but at the time said, oh my God, tablets are going to take over the world. What are we going to do? Oh, we'll make a hybrid tablet laptop. So that is a convertible. It means you can detach the keyboard. Microsoft does make that. Other companies make that. There are challenges with doing that. If what you want is a tentable laptop where you can open the screen and it can go all the way around, that's called a 2-in-1. And that's the Yoga, for instance, from Lenovo. And I think those are great, too. What is it that you like about that or you want from that?
I watch TV and movies on it. And so
so you tent it, and then you can stand it up.
Yeah. But I also do Excel and QuickBooks since I want a good keyboard also.
I would, before you buy a Pro, I would certainly go to a store. Best Buy has them. A lot of places have them, and type on that just to make sure it has a little give because it's not flat on the ground. It's a chiclet, membrane keyboard because that's what it is. And so I'm a little bit of a keyboard snob, to be honest. And anybody who's used to an old Lenovo ThinkPad, you've got expectations. Those are really good keyboards. And they still are. They're not quite as good as your old one, but they're still very good. I would look at it if you want a 2-in-1 Lenovo ThinkPad Yoga. Lenovo also makes IdeaPad Yogas, which are fine, but not maybe as well built as the ThinkPad Yogas.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thanks for the call. I'm always glad to recommend Lenovo. Of course, Apple has really broken my heart and anybody who likes typing. For years, their laptops, the last good Apple laptop was 2015. Then they adopted this new butterfly key that not everybody hates, but a lot of people, including me, hate, and has real reliability issues. Well, lo and behold, they just announced last week the new MacBook Pro 16-inch, and the keyboard, according to iFixit, which does the teardowns, they take these apart, the keyboard on the new MacBook Pro is almost identical to the 2015 keyboard, which was, I thought, a very good, very usable keyboard. In fact, I kept my MacBook 2015 for the longest time because I just couldn't use that butterfly keyboard. So if you're a Mac person, there's cause to rejoice. These are not cheap. Apples are never cheap, but MacBook Pros particularly are very expensive. But it sounds like they've done some amazing things. And the people who've got them already, mine comes Wednesday, the people who've already got them from either from Apple or because they went to the store and got them early, I've been very impressed. Very impressed. Keyboards are more important. If you ask me, we spend a lot of time with computers talking about speeds and feeds. How many megahertz in the pro? How much cache you get? And really, what is the thing you use the most with the computer? It's the screen, the mouse, and the keyboard. That's where the rubber hits the road. So let's not neglect those. I just got a wonderful computer. It's a Linux computer from a company called System 76. The guts of it are fantastic. It's got the new Ice Lake, or is it Comet Lake? I think it's Comet Lake processor from Intel. It's so fast. It's great. But it has a mediocre screen and a mediocre keyboard. And it's like it breaks my heart because the guts are good. On the spec list, it looks great. But then you've got to use it. And if you don't have a nice responsive trackpad, that's where Apple, by the way, is the king of the hill. If you don't have a keyboard that has appropriate amount of travel, that feels good, this is my test, that you can type accurately on. You know what I'll often do? I have very weird long passwords, as you should too, for many of my accounts. And I always test keyboards by typing my passwords. Because you can't make a mistake, right? If that password's going to work, and mine are usually 20, 30, 40 characters. If it's going to work, it's got to be exactly right. It's a strange mix. It's not words. It's letters, punctuation, numbers, all kinds of stuff. If I can type that accurately in one pass, that's a good keyboard. I could never type it accurately on those MacBook keyboards. Never could. It failed that, I think, vital test. And if you're going to write, I don't know if you do any writing, I think a lot of us spend a lot of time keying in stuff of one kind or another. You got to have a good keyboard. You're going to be staring at that screen. It should not, the screen should get out of the way. You shouldn't have to say, oh, I wish it were brighter, or I wish it were darker, I wish the text were crisper, I wish I could see the colors better. None of that. It should just be transparent. Apple, again, king of the hill here. They make very, very good screens. So does Microsoft. Their screens on the Surfaces are fantastic. And Lenovo has some bad and some good screens. Their OLED screens are perfect. Oh, Chris Marquardt coming up. Let's talk photography next. Oh, let me see here, Chris, if I have any other good pictures. Yeah, this is my favorite so far from the trip. But you can see in the camera, the rocks don't look like they do in real life. They're a little bit desaturated compared to...
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to get this right.
I bumped the vibrance, the clarity, and the saturation a little bit. But it is pretty amazing. It is just... the best one, of course, the best known is the Treasury Building. Let me find that here.
Yeah, the red rocks kind of need a bit of tweaking. I remember having been to Canyonlands National Park and getting these colors out the way they felt right there.
That's what you're trying to do, is to capture that feeling, right?
Yeah.
It is pretty stunning. It's pretty amazing. These are all with the A7.
Did you ride a camel?
No, but I have Lisa riding a camel.
That's one of the things I don't really.
Yeah, they smell, and you're not.
The smell is not the thing. It's the pain of riding.
Yeah, you're not on it for a long time. No. So I haven't processed any of these, but they're really the crevices and the rock colors. I'll have to obviously bring the exposure up a little bit, but it's kind of like, reminds me a little bit of Bryce. That.
Oh yeah,
beautiful look. So, yeah, it was really fun. I took a lot of pictures in Petra. I really loved Petra.
So what else have you seen? Dubai, Petra?
Dubai, Petra, Egypt. I'll show you some Egypt.
It's also high on my list. I haven't been to Egypt yet.
Oh, I've been to Egypt twice now. I feel very lucky. So, these are in reverse order, it looks like. This is the Karnak Temple. It's really incredible. To give you a sense of size, I mean...
you need that. You need a reference right next to it.
Huge.
Yes.
Huge. But the best thing we saw, and, I don't know what to say about it. It was a temple, or a tomb, that was discovered about 100 years ago, but pretty much kept... I guess preserved nicely. They didn't allow you have to buy a camera license to bring a camera into the tomb, so I just used my iPhone. But the iPhone did a great job. But these paintings looked like they'd been refreshed yesterday. And they
are original? They are not retouched?
These are original, 3,500-year-old images. And and you could see there is some damage. So if they had fixed them, you would expect them to have fixed the damage. I think this is what they look like. And it's stunning. This is
amazing.
Nefertari's tomb. Queen Nefertari was Ramses II's favorite wife. And unbelievable color. So that was really fun. I had not seen this before. So that was pretty incredible.
And I said, how much time did you spend in there?
Just one day. Oh, in the tomb? About an hour.
Because that's kind of the thing you're drawn back and forth between. Do I want to take it in? Do I want to take photos?
Right. This is Seti, the first tomb. This was also remarkable. And of course, they've all been. The tomb raiders have stolen all the goods out of them. That's why King Tut's tomb was so remarkable. It was undiscovered.
They have just recently found a whole bunch of.
They're finding more. I think you're going to find a lot more because of they can do LiDAR and stuff now. So.
Yeah.
They had to, King Tut's tomb, Carter dug for 5 years or 6 years. They knew roughly where it was, or they thought it was, but they took them 6 years to find it because they had to dig holes. Chris Marquardt, I missed you, my friend.
Well, I missed you.
But
welcome back.
You were always on my mind, as Willie Nelson says, because I was, on a trip where it was nothing but photography. Lisa and I are both avid amateurs, nothing in your league, but we brought all our camera gear, and man, Egypt, Petra, Jordan, that amazing place where Indiana Jones was. We were in Dubai, which also was amazing for other reasons. We were in Israel and Jerusalem, and man, I took 3,000 plus photos.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure Lisa took that many as well. It was incredible. And one of the things I was saying,
a lot of editing.
Yeah, I have a lot of work ahead of me. I'm waiting till that new MacBook Pro comes. It's going to be the inaugural task on the MacBook Pro when it comes Wednesday. But one of the things I did note was that some of my favorite pictures were taken with not my $5,000 camera, but my iPhone 11 Pro Max. It is amazing.
Yep. There's nothing there. I can't say much about that.
It's amazing.
It is. The phones are.
I wonder, especially because halfway through the trip, the Deep Fusion software update came out, and I was really noticing what a nice job Deep Fusion did with details.
You noticed the difference right away.
Right away. It's really good with detail, especially if you pixel peep. If you zoom in, it's really interesting. Does a great job with faces and. So yeah, they actually improved the camera from the day it came out. It's pretty impressive.
I'm still on my XR, so
well, you'll get some of that benefit. That XR is a great camera too. Yeah.
Sooner or later. Okay, so you had your iPhone, you had a Sony A7 III,
4.
A7R
Mark IV. Yeah, the latest and greatest.
What else did you bring in terms
Lisa
of cameras?
brought her A9. I brought a 24 millimeter, 16 to 35 millimeter, 135 millimeter, and Lisa had a long zoom. I can't remember what it was, 25 to 105, something like that. So I brought a bunch of lenses with me.
But did you bring a flying camera?
No. My experience with flying cameras is mixed. You're talking about drones? You're talking about drones?
So of course I am. Of course I am. Because one drone, and I'm getting constant questions about this, has been released shortly after you left.
Oh.
The Mavic Mini came out.
Yeah, I had a Mavic Pro I lost in the Caribbean, and after that I said I'm never bringing...
You gave up on it.
I can't be trusted.
Well, and that's my general recommendation, because these drones are just amazingly sexy. People want them, and then they fly them for a week, and then they don't use them anymore because most people don't have an outlet. They are not Casey Neistat or do every week they put a video on YouTube. So there is certainly, you have to think about if you want one, but a thing that just came out is one of those that is now kind of in reach for more people because the price dropped and it's a bit easier to use.
The technology's improved a lot too.
The technology has improved.
It's harder to lose these. It really is.
And the weight has improved, and that is kind of the big thing about this little new drone, because it dips under the magical 250 gram boundary. So at one point, the FAA decided 250 grams is kind of the limit, where the weight limit for a drone where it's not that dangerous anymore. And they well, if something falls out of the sky on your head, then there's kinetic energy, and the more weight that thing has, the more dangerous it gets. So they defined that at one point. And
boy, it's small. This would fit in your pocket.
This is tiny, yeah. So well, lighter is safer. It also means that in different countries, they might have fewer restrictions.
Well, that was the other reason I didn't bring it. I don't think you want to be in Israel and just launch a drone. That sounds like
probably not.
You might get incoming missile fire.
And those rules differ by country, right? They are often, it means you won't have to register it. It in some countries might mean that you're now allowed to fly over people, these kind of things. But again, this is very local. So
you are the devil, Chris Marquardt. You've got me thinking. I swore I would never buy another drone. I don't want to convince you. But I don't want to convince you of this one. I brought a 360-degree camera with me, and I never used it once, because that's part of the problem. Is these gadgets, you get them.
You have too many of them. That's the thing.
Yeah.
But okay.
How much?
Let me tell you
how much you're going to send me
the
back. Because the Mavic Pro I lost was like $1,500.
Oh, this is $400. Oh. This is cheap. But okay, drawbacks. There are drawbacks. Okay, let me
talk me out of it, Chris.
Out of this. Let me talk you out of this. The camera in photo mode, in stills mode, doesn't shoot RAW. Only shoots JPEG.
Okay.
So you have those 12 megapixel JPEG. You have some manual control there, but it is really, if you are used to using RAW, if you're used to editing RAW, then you have to get it right in camera, and that's not always easy, especially with a high contrast between the sky and the foreground. RAW is better. The other thing is in video mode, and that's what these flying cameras are often used for, is to do these beautiful cinematic slow motion shots flying into the sunset. Those, I mean, it does have a 3-axis gimbal, so that is very stable, but the video camera does not do any manual mode. It is fully automatic.
Yeah.
And
so this is really a consumer grade. This is a consumer grade drone. I have to admit, there were times, especially on the cruise ship, when I wish I see. This is where I get into trouble.
No, you don't want to do this.
I could have launched the drone and have it follow us through the Suez Canal. I thought that would be really cool.
This is a recipe for disaster because the drone will go back to where it started if you lose connection.
This is what I found out.
Where you started is not going to be where the ship is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So anyway, it doesn't do 4K video. It only does 2.7K, but that's plenty good for most people. So if you are into that, if this is something that you think might be a great toy to play with, then
it is
sure,
much more affordable. It's only $400.
Sure. So a friend of mine, he sank 2 drones. So for him, a drone is more of a disposable item. So this.
That's what I should. Instead of saying, "Oh, I wasted my money, I sank my
disposable
drone,"
item.
I should think of it as a disposable item. That's where I went wrong. What I do like about drone photography, and you see a lot of it, you're right, on video with people like Casey Neistat, but what I like about it is it's a unique perspective.
It's an angle you don't have on your flat plane that we live on.
Right.
Yes.
We live on we live on a dish.
I'm not saying the Earth is flat, but we are on a plane.
And when you suddenly see what you normally see every day, day in, day out, from above, it's just beautiful.
It's very different, yes.
Yeah, even your house, it's just beautiful. So, You're the devil, Chris Marquardt.
Well, if that's a label you want to put on,
my buy button finger is itching, I gotta say. So, do you have this? Did you buy it?
No, but a good friend of mine has been playing with it for since he got it a couple of days ago.
Tempting.
So,
what do you use a drone?
I do have a DJI Mavic Air.
These are the pro level. These are higher quality.
Almost pro.
Yeah.
Almost pro. Yeah. Good enough for what I need it for. Yeah. And even I, with all the travel, only fly this 3-4 times a year.
Yeah.
So it's not an every weekend kind of thing.
It's icing on the cake.
It is, yes.
Yeah. I missed the golden assignment, but our new assignment is hot. Take your pictures.
Yes, it is hot.
Couple of weeks.
Continue the alphabet.
Yay. Submit them to Flickr. Our Tech Guy group is waiting for your great shots that are hot. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Leo.
Discover Chris at discoverthetopfloor.com. I love it. Mashed Potato is saying, take your next holiday in a submarine and get an aquatic drone.
There's fish finding drones.
There's some very cool aquatic drones, yeah.
Yes, they are.
This
but
is tempting. $400.
That is even more limited in use. Well, it depends on where you live.
You think the image quality is subpar? No.
Well, what will you need that for? If you want pro level videography, then it's probably not exactly there. But for 95% of everyone else out there, that is a wonderful toy.
I loved my DJI, and I took such good care of it. I didn't want to lose it, so I practiced. I went out to the park. Lisa and I would practice. Make sure I was really comfortable with it. Got it going great.
Okay, here are 2 reasons you're going to lose this thing. First is it only has forward and downward collision avoidance.
Oh.
So if you fly backwards into a tree, it might be stuck up there.
Yeah.
And the second thing is it's not as fast as other drones. So if you're flying in heavy-ish wind, it mightn't be able to come back. So. Even though I've heard it's quite good.
You talked me out of it. That's good.
There's a chance.
Somebody here will get one.
I'm pretty sure.
Somebody here.
And it comes with the little cages for the propellers, so you can fly it indoors.
Yeah, I saw that. You have pictures of it flying indoors, which is hysterical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, those are fun toys, and it's the icing on the cake. Absolutely right. It is not kind of a main camera kind of thing.
I think I had the Mavic Air. I think I had what you had. Not the Pro. Not the Pro, but the Air. I really liked it.
I mean, what I like about this one is, as opposed to the Spark, this now has a 3-axis gimbal. So
right,
the smoothness is back.
Right. Yeah, I use their Osmo gimbal, and I really love that. In fact, I think I'm going to take that to CES. You going to be at CES this year?
Nope. There's too much other travel.
Yep. I changed my tune. I haven't gone in so long, and I thought, well, this year we should cover it. So we're going to cover it. That's why I asked, because I thought, well, we could catch up and get a camera segment from you. But
well, if I find a sponsor, then
not me, baby. I'm doing this. This is all out of pocket, unfortunately. I don't think we found a sponsor for it.
Yeah.
All right, Chris. Have a good one.
All right. Talk to you in a week from now.
See you in a week.
Bye now.
Bye. Our show today, our podcast today, brought to you by those good folks at Brave. I love this browser. I don't know if you're familiar with this. A lot of people. So what browser do you use? The browser, as I mentioned, is the chief way people get on the internet, but it's also, in most cases, the chief way you use your computer these days. The problem with most browsers is they're also a portal into you in your life, your computer, for adware, spyware, malware. That's why I use Brave. Brave is based on Google's Chrome. So Chrome is an open source project called Chromium, and the folks at Brave decided to take that software, take out the Google spy stuff, clean it up, fix things that Google decided to break, and make a great browser designed for people who don't want to be spied on, who don't want to be, wasting bandwidth and time downloading giant advertising. Brave is designed to give you speed, online privacy, block trackers. It's a better user experience. It looks a lot like Chrome because it is basically Chrome without the bad stuff. Any Chrome extension will work just fine on Brave, but I notice I don't need to install hardly any of the extensions I used to install because Brave does everything that I want it to do. I don't have to add extensions. It has an ad blocker built in. Pages load 3 to 6 times faster because you're not downloading a lot of junk. It has a wonderful sync feature that means my bookmarks, my plugins, everything I do with my browser automatically gets synchronized. Why should you pick Brave over, say, Chrome or Edge or Safari? Well, it's easy to use. It's quick to switch. It will save battery life because, again, all that stuff eats up your battery. It's really just like using Chrome without getting tracked. You can import your bookmarks with one click. All your favorite Chrome extensions are available. It runs everywhere, and I use it on Linux, Mac, Windows, Android, and iOS. 56 languages are supported. It's available worldwide. And one thing I really like about Brave, ad blocking is great for the user, but if you have a favorite site that depends on advertising, it's not so great for those sites. Brave has kind of rethought this whole thing. You can opt into Brave ads. You'll get rewarded with BAT tokens, which you can then award to content creators. So even though you're not getting their ads, you're giving them revenue. So you could tip your favorite content creators in Brave. Brave fixes the web, improves privacy, and supports publishers, gives them their fair share of web revenue. That's really why I love Brave. It's the only browser I use. I highly recommend it. It has a private window, private browsing, and it uses Tor if you want absolute anonymity. Brave is free. Did I mention that? There's no reason not to use Brave. Look, you probably have a favorite browser, maybe even at Google Chrome. I want you to download Brave and just try it. Just try it. I think you will suddenly realize there is a better browser out there. No more fingerprinting, no more cookies. All the sites are HTTPS. because it's got HTTPS everywhere built in. It's got script blocking built in. It's got shield settings that are per site, which is nice, so you can open up to sites you trust, close down to sites you don't. I just think it's fantastic, and this Brave Rewards program is brilliant. Brave, it's safer, it's faster, it's better. It's the best browser out there. Yesterday was about big tech. Today is about us. Give it a try. Brave.com/twit. If you do decide to download it that way, they'll know you saw it here. Brave.com/twit. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, droning in America. Line 1, Gary in Rockford, Illinois. Hi, Gary.
Hey, Leo, how are you?
I am well.
Good to see you back.
It's great to be back. But again, thanks so much to Rich DeMuro, who did a great job filling.
Yes,
Too good a job, frankly.
I was just going to say that. He's a good guy.
He's great. I love Rich.
Yes. Yeah, I'm kind of jealous also on your all those photos you've been showing.
Oh, it's so photography. So I'm not sure if my hobby is travel and then I take pictures, or if my hobby is photos and I travel so that I can take pictures. It's kind of hard to decide. Yeah. But I tell you, I wouldn't go anywhere without my camera. It's an inspiration to see these things and take pictures of them. It's so much fun. And then you get to relive the journey all over again as you go through those pictures. So,
right.
Yeah.
Right. So anyways, I know that you, I don't know if you still have a TiVo yet, but I know that you used to have a TiVo.
I still have a TiVo.
Okay, so I got like a TiVo Bolt from Best Buy.
Yes.
And it's probably about 6 months old. Anyways, I was trying to get it back onto the cable card with Comcast. And anyways, it's stuck in guided setup. It says at the end that it's supposed to, it says something about my zip code, not being right. So anyways, I try it with the antenna, only, and it does the same thing. So it's stuck in guided setup.
Something's wrong with it, obviously. Yeah, I have a TiVo Bolt 3, and I have a cable card. Same thing. This is the whole idea of this is you can replace that junky cable box, that junky cable DVR with a much better DVR, the TiVo DVR. The cable card turns it into a set-top box. It's how the Comcast or Cox or Spectrum or whoever your cable company is verifies that you have that subscription and you can use it as your DVR. And for me, I have 3 TiVos with cable cards, and they've all worked great. So it sounds like the problem is that particular bolt.
Right. It sounds like the hard drive or something went bad.
Well, that's what happened to my bolt. My bolt is sitting dismantled in my office because I got what they call the rainbow light of death. And I thought it was a hard drive, replaced the hard drive. It's not that. It's stuck in the setup. Somebody else now told me, it's the power supply, but I don't want to put more money into this thing. It's out of warranty, unfortunately. So I'm wondering if these bolts are maybe not as reliable as they ought to be. So there are a couple of things you can try. First, I would absolutely call TiVo and see what they say. But Mike B., who's in our chat room and is a TiVo fan, says, one thing you might do, it sounds like, and I think he's probably right, that cable card, which was supposedly established with your account, may not be correctly configured. So it might be worth taking it, either going to the Comcast store. This is, in my experience, the better way to do this is go to the cable company store in town, if you have one, and bring it to them and say, fix it, or call them. But Mike B. says Comcast may need to repair, not repair, but repair the card to your account. And I presume you've rebooted the TiVo, right? You've unplugged it and plugged it back in and all that.
Yes, but it's doing it the same thing if I put it into antenna only as well.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, so you're right. That was a good test. Yeah.
Right.
Because it shouldn't do that if it's not using the cable card at all.
Right.
So it sounds like you got a bad bolt. And I have to say, I'm not thrilled with Bolt. I don't think I'll buy another TiVo. I remember TiVo got sold. The company that made it didn't really have the heart to do the hardware.
Yeah.
I'm thinking I don't think they're making the best stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I have no answer for you if you've tried those things, which you have. I mean, you've done a good job. It may be just the Bolt. It sounds like it's time to call TiVo. So,
yeah, just before you go, just for Scooter X, I'm not on a I'm on my headphones from my gaming headphones talking to you. So
it sounds good.
Scooter X told me not to use my webcam mic.
Well, he was wrong in this case. You know, the microphone in most phones is terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible. We used to, in the old days, I'll take you back in time. Remember those old, you probably don't remember this, but in the old days where you couldn't buy a phone, you had to rent it from the phone company, the old Western Electric hard black rubber phones. And then microphones in them were what we call carbon mics, which is the cheapest possible microphone you could put in a phone. And occasionally, the sound quality would get so bad on the carbon mic, and the fix for this was to pound it on the countertop because it turned out the carbon particles in there were getting stuck together from humidity, and it was making the mic not work. So you'd pound it, and it would come clear again.
Great.
Those were the bad old days. We now almost all phones have decent microphones, but I think your headset might actually sound better. Really, the issue isn't the headset as much as how you're connecting it. Are you using Skype? What are you doing?
I'm using the Google Voice.
Google Voice. I think it sounds great. Yeah, because you're using your internet to connect instead of the phone system. But honestly, if you can call a phone number, which you can with Google Voice, there's no reason not to. I think this sounds great.
Yeah,
certainly as good as any telephone. Well, I appreciate the call. I'm sorry you're having trouble with your Bolt. I did too. Try Ethernet. Mike B is saying sometimes if you're using Wi-Fi, it's not going to work as well. Mine's on Ethernet. It's nice to use hardwired if you can. I don't know. I wish I did. Russ, Denton Harbor, Michigan. Hi, Russ. Hey, Russ.
Hello, Leo.
Hello, Russ. Welcome.
How you doing?
I'm great. What can I do?
Good question is, I run a escape room, and I want to remote control one of my a Chromebook from a tablet or something else.
Yeah. Yes, you can totally do it. There's actually an extension. It's called Chrome Remote Desktop, and it's absolutely awesome. So we were just talking about Remote PC. Obviously, Remote PC doesn't run on Chrome OS. In fact, you can't really install apps on Chrome OS, but there is an extension from Google called Chrome Remote Desktop. It's remotedesktop.google.com, and it works great.
So that would allow me to control from a tablet.
Yeah.
And control that. Okay.
Yeah.
That's great.
Tell me about your escape room. I love escape rooms. What's your escape? What's your escape room?
So it's a Puzzle Mental Escape Room in Benton Harbor, St. Joe, Michigan. And we do all kinds of great things here.
I love the idea of this. So if you've not done an escape room, you go into a room, they pretend to lock the door behind you. You can get out if you want to. They pretend to lock the door behind you, and you have to solve puzzles to get out. And usually there's a scenario. The one we did in San Francisco, there was a nuclear reactor about to melt down, and you had 30 minutes to figure out how to turn it off. And you go in there with a team, and there's all sorts of logic. Did you design it yourself?
Yeah, we design everything ourselves. We do all the work from the artwork to the programming to everything like that.
Oh, it's so great.
So there's a lot of tech in these things too.
Oh yeah. That's awesome. Is it puzzlemental.com? What is the?
Yeah, puzzlemental.com.
Nice. And as you point out on your website, it is a great team building for exercise for businesses. That's what we did.
Lots of corporations to go it through.
We took my whole team down there. It was so much fun.
There's a lot of insight that you can get from working together like that.
You bet. And, of course, the tech is really fun. They even had a drone in mine. That was crazy. I crashed it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Oh, my goodness. Well, it's a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you for calling. And, yeah, Chrome Remote Desktop is amazing. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I quickly ask you another question?
Sure.
I'm also looking for something that I can play like samples, and I understand that you have something there.
Oh, I love this thing. Yeah. It's called the Stream. It's called the Stream Deck.
Stream Deck.
Yeah, do you remember Elgato? They were around for a long time. For Mac users, they did TV interface devices and stuff. Well, they've gotten now they do Eve, which is a IoT device, and I don't know why they make this because it's really not like anything else they make. But I guess the idea is it's used by people who stream on Twitch and stuff, because you can have it control software, but you can also have it playback samples, and it's got software that goes on the computer that lets you choose the samples that are assigned to each button. Actually, mine's not working right now. I'm getting an error message, but you can have. It's really fun because you can have multiple banks. So so you would use this. So you got people in your escape room, and you want to play, a klaxon alarm. You could do that. This is really cool. And these are all WAV files.
And will that plug into something like, hey, I have a little Behringer board? Will it plug directly into that? Do I have to go?
No. It's designed. It's not designed for people who want to use real audio tools. It's designed to connect to a computer. So it has. So I don't know if it would work with a Chromebook, but it absolutely. This is the Mac interface. Actually, let me make this window a little bit smaller. It's a little too big. Here we go. Now you can zoom in on it. And so you can, it's got a variety of tools. You have video recording, capturing, screenshotting, but it also has an audio mixer. And so it's very easy to add a sound to it. If you have the waveform, you just choose whatever waveform you want, and you can pick it up off the computer and attach it to a button. So it's very much like the software soundboards you've seen, but it's a physical button. And it does a lot more than that. You could actually control the whole escape room with it. I mean, it allows you, it has interface to a lot of different system tools. So it's really designed for video streamers, Twitch-style video streamers. But honestly, this thing is really powerful and not very expensive. Yeah, I really like this. Stream Deck from Elgato. Hey, thanks for the call. Appreciate it.
Yep, and thanks for being you.
Well, I have no choice, so I'm glad you like it.
Well, I've enjoyed it for a long time.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Have a good one, Russ. And next time I'm in Denton Harbor, I'm coming by.
Come on.
Yeah, I want to try to escape.
You can do it.
Sybil passed away. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Oh dear. Was that a sudden? Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Yeah, she was a cherished regular in the chat room. How did we find out? Is somebody in the chat room that is friends or family or? Oh, I'm so sorry. We know these people, CYBYL, Sybil. We know these people, for years. We know people in the chat. A few of them I've met. Never met Loquacious, never met. Mike, we've met, haven't we? I feel like we've met. Keith, we've never met. BurnTech, we've never met. So a lot of times the only presence they have is, in the chat. And so... But they have an absolute presence in chat. They really do. Yeah. Osned, we know. Scooter X, we know. I met you, Keith. That's right. Of course, I know you, Keith. Never mind. Forget I said that. No, of course, I remember meeting you. Eric Dragonheart, I don't remember ever meeting you, but that's probably because you didn't introduce yourself as Eric Dragonheart. Yeah, Sybil was great. I'm so sorry to see that. Yeah. Oh. I avoid meeting Burke for sure. So I don't know anything about Sybil at all. I know she was a ham. Oh, N6IBI. Well, we should tell the Ham Nation folks, as they say, a silent key. And I don't know, do they do silent keys on that show? I think they do. So maybe they will do something. I think it's the first time one of our chatters has passed. Oh, you noticed she was gone, huh, Loquacious? Mike B., you may not bring Domino's to our studio. Mostly because I'm not allowed to eat pizza. Oh, man. On the cruise ship, there was a pizzeria, Spacconapoli. It was real, authentic Naples pizza. Oh, my God. It was so... we went a few times, I confess, but it was tough. I did not do the keto on the boat. I just couldn't. It was too much good food. But I'm happy to say I only gained a couple of pounds. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Tater. Oh, dear. Oh, I didn't know Tater passed. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography. We got your smartphones. We got your smart watches. We got all that jazz. Anything you want to talk about, if it has a chip in it, give me a ring. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. And we can chat about high tech. That's what John wants to do. He's on the line from Mount Juliet, Tennessee. Hello, John.
Hi, Leo. How are you?
I'm great. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate you taking my call today.
Of course. Thanks for calling. What can I do for you?
I have a Sony A7R4.
Oh, me too. Don't you love it?
Yep.
Wow.
I do, except I've got one problem with it.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I purchased a demo lens from one of the New York dealers. It's a 24-105.
Okay, that's kind of the kit lens with that. Oh, actually, the kit lens I think is 24-75, but that's a nice zoom.
It is a nice zoom.
Yeah.
And yesterday I took some photos of the about 35 millimeter, and focus was great. And then I swung it over to take some pictures of trees.
Yeah.
And zoomed out, and it would not acquire focus.
Oh boy.
So I went back in and did a settings reset, just in case I'd done something. As you know, there are a myriad of settings.
It's kind of a million of them. One thing I would mention is that many of these lenses have a manual physical focus switch on the lens. Make sure I've accidentally switched that off, and then nothing focuses it. So make sure that if there is on that lens a physical switch for manual versus automatic focus, that you have it switched to automatic.
Yes, there is such a switch, and I double-checked it, and it was set to AF. So I reset the settings, went real simple, AFS, single focus point, and same problem. So then I put another lens. I have a 35 f1.8 Sony lens, which is a very nice lens, by the way.
I know.
Put that on there.
Yeah.
And had zero focus problems with that.
So it's the lens.
So I'm wondering if I've got a bad copy of the lens, or if I might have a bad copy of the camera, and I hate to ship it all back to me.
No. It sounds like the camera's okay. So there's a couple of things to take a look at. One is that these lenses have firmware. So make sure that you've updated the firmware on the lens. It may simply be a damaged firmware, or it may be old firmware.
Oh.
So check, believe it or not, these lenses are such fancy electronic gear that they do have a firmware. So that's one thing to check. Of course, your A7 has the latest firmware because it just came out. But I always do keep an eye on that. The other thing is, remember the way these work. These devices, the lenses are removable, and there's contacts on both the lens and the camera. And you want to make sure those contacts are clean and that it's making a good electrical connection with the lens. I'm not sure, that doesn't sound like the problem, but it's certainly something to take a look at. This thing is a very complicated camera. Nevertheless, I have to say I carried it on my vacation for 3 weeks in dust in Egypt and in Jordan and Dubai, and it took a beating. I lost the eye cup, fell off. I knocked off one of the lens hoods. It got dust on the sensor. I had to clean the sensor, and it took a beating, but it gave me great images very consistently, and focus was always good. One of the things Sony does really well is focus. So I think likely, given that it was a used lens, it sounds likely there's a problem with the lens. I doubt there's a problem with the body.
Did you use a dust blower to clean it off?
No. I didn't have one. That is the preferred way. And as you know, these cameras, a lot of the newer cameras have cleaning routines. There's a cleaning routine in the firmware that will shake the lens vigorously. And that in most cases works, but there was a blob of dust on there, and honestly, I just used a cloth to clean it off, very carefully, obviously. But the sensors are not as fragile as you might think. They're covered with a plate of glass, so you're not going to damage the sensor. In fact, if I'd had it, I would have used a wet cleaning pen to clean it off, and that would have been fine. But I didn't, and it worked fine. Yeah, you want to use a blower if you can. You don't want to touch it if you don't have to.
Okay, well, I'll check the firmware.
Yeah.
Thanks for the time.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm glad you have that. That's a nice camera. You spent some money on that.
I did. How do I sound? I'm on the AirPods Pro.
Really? Boy,
yeah.
That sounds very good. No background noise at all. Yeah.
No.
How do you like them? How do you like the sound on those?
The noise canceling.
Yeah.
The sound is good. Yep.
I've been reluctant to buy them because they're so darn expensive. They're $350? $250. Well, that's not awful. That's about what really, is that all they are? The Pros? I thought they were more, because isn't that what the original AirPods cost? Well, if they're that, maybe I'll pick up I have way too many headphones, but I should probably review them. I think somebody in the studio has reviewed them, so I'll ask them to borrow theirs and see how they sound. Yeah, $250. That's not bad. They stay in the ear a little bit better with those new little nubbies on those?
Yeah, I'm fine with them.
Yeah, good. Okie dokie. Appreciate the call. Take care. I can't buy everything Apple makes. There's just not enough money in the world. Edmund in Burbank, California. You're next. Hi, Edmund. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hello, Leo. Thanks
Edmund.
so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks for the call.
Leo, I have hundreds of thousands of pictures that I've uploaded to Google Photos.
Yes, me too. Yes.
And it's great because you can combine all these, facial recognition and combine them all into groups. And
makes it so much easier, doesn't it? And I often will search for, I was trying to remember, I'd been in Dubai about 10 years ago, but I didn't remember when or where. So I searched for Dubai, and man, it just pops up. Now, you have a lot more than I do. I only have, I think, about 60,000 images. You have hundreds of thousands.
Well, I've got 3 daughters all playing basketball.
Oh, there you go.
And it just goes on and on and on.
Well, and the temptation with Google Photos, since it gives you unlimited free storage, is not to edit. Just put it all on there. Why not?
I can't even believe that he got to you. That's amazing.
I'm sorry.
Is that your daughter?
That's my wife.
That's your wife.
Great.
What's her name?
Juliet.
Hi, Juliet.
I'm not very techie. I think it's boring, but my husband loves it.
Oh, well, it's good you put up with your geek.
Yeah, I put up with it. He helps me through my technology challenges.
See, there you go. You see, you got somebody to set up the TV and all that stuff. Although my wife complains, she says, you can't go anywhere. If you ever die, I'm not going to be able to watch TV.
That's so true.
You know what? We've done a smart house, and if I'm done, she's going to have a headache.
Only Edmund knows how to run the house, Juliet. You're out of luck.
But he needs your help.
So here's my problem.
Tell me your problem. Yeah.
It stopped collecting pictures together. It doesn't do that anymore. It doesn't. I've got all these new faces on there, and none of them are gathered together into one face. So what do I do?
Well, that's interesting. You have to make sure that you've told it about those faces, right? So, but that way they keep changing the capabilities and the features of Google Photos. So, for all I know, they took something out. But if you go into your albums, you should be able to have albums that are people. Actually, on mine it says people and pets. And then it should give you a listing of all the pictures, all the faces in your photos. Make sure that all those faces are accurate and that the faces you want to gather together are recognized, that you've given them a name. And then the whole theory is that when you take a picture of somebody, it'll say, oh, I bet Lisa would like it if you shared it, or it'll put it in a photo album or something like that. You know, Google's a great black box, though. They may have changed that feature. Who knows? And they don't
I think
really
they did, because I've Googled it, and others are complaining about the
Yeah,
same thing.
so they probably,
you know something.
some guy I don't. Some guy turned it off. The guy in the Googleplex said, "Oh, we don't need this anymore." This is this is a great feature. This Google Photos is free, unlimited storage, searching. It does processing. It does so many things, and it's completely free. That's the upside. The downside is Google. They just kind of randomly kill things and say, change things, and there's just no rhyme or reason, and apparently no warning. So, yeah, maybe they've changed how that sharing works. You want it to automatically make albums of particular people. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I just want all the pictures that I've taken of the same individual. It used to, you give it a name.
Yeah.
And then it puts them all together into one. Well, it stopped doing that. I've got so many faces that it doesn't
recognize.
anymore.
So, of course, the whole idea here is you should also, and try this, be able to search for that person by name. If you can search for that person by name, then that means you've taught it who that person is. And then whether it will organize it, maybe that's something that they took out. But maybe the feeling is, why would we even bother putting it in an album? We've got it in search. Just type that person's name in search, and you'll see all the photos. Why do you need an album? And of course, you can create an album if you want, but it's not automatic anymore. Yeah, that was a whole big feature. They announced a couple of years ago. When you take pictures of your kids, you can just automatically share it with them. Yeah, maybe they turned it off.
I was hoping. Yeah, I think they have turned it off.
Yeah. I don't know if somebody listening does. Call me or put it in the chat or mention it in our website, techguylabs.com.
Well, do you have any pool?
Do I have any pool with Google? No. Is anybody down there in Mountain View? Hello? Fix it. Fix it.
Listen to you before they listen to us.
Yeah. I think, honestly, I don't know if there are any humans anymore in there. I think it's all robots now.
Well, Leo, you're wonderful. We love you. We appreciate all your knowledge, and I enjoy listening to you very much.
Nice to meet you both. Thank you, Edmund. Thank you, Julian. Have a great day.
Thank you, sir.
You got in. I can't believe you got in. Yeah, I think Google Photos is marvelous, and it almost doesn't it feel like, at least to me, it feels like maybe I'm being a little, rude by complaining in any respect. Here's this great thing that they give you. It's free. It does stuff. A wonderful thing to do with Google Photos is to buy the Google Nest Hub. They have the Nest Hub and Nest Hub Max, which these are screen devices that use Google Assistant. But one of the things you can do, and I do, is say, hey, any pictures of my kids or my wife, put them on the screen. And so I have a never-ending slideshow. And I mean, it knows it's the kids going back to when they were 1, 20 years, the oldest pictures I have. So I have a constant slideshow, and it's really fun. Both Lisa and I will look over and say, oh, remember that? That is a great feature. There's a lot of things it does. And as far as I can tell, it still is adding new pictures because some of the new pictures I just took of my wife are on that screen. So I'm not sure. I'm just not sure what's going on there. That's the problem. Google's kind of a black box, by which I mean it does it, but you can't see inside. You can't see the workings or the whys or the wherefores or what they've discontinued. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More calls coming up. Stay right here. Thank you, Sybil's better half. We appreciate and we appreciated having Sybil as long as we did. I'm sure you do too. From Toronto, ladies and gentlemen, I give you Richard. Hello, Richard. Come on in. Have a seat. I was in Toronto just a week ago, flying through on my way home. We had the... Yeah. Yeah, I love Toronto. I miss Toronto. Yeah, there was snow on the ground when we landed. Yeah, Lisa's never been de-iced. I said, oh, get ready. I've been de-iced many times. We flew Air Canada from Dubai, nonstop Dubai, Toronto. That was a wild flight. It was nice, yeah. And then United from Toronto. And, it's funny because I've taken that flight so many times. When I worked, every month I would take that flight. Yeah. Oh, nice. Wonderful. What brings you out here?
Well, I would say I'm going to rate with Lisa, but
I see you have a Stanford T-shirt on.
Well, I visited. I came for GitHub Universe.
Oh, nice.
So I stayed long. I went to the Google campus at Apple.
Oh, fun.
Ended up Stanford to do a tour there.
Oh, fun.
Bucket list too.
Nice. You did the. You're doing the geek visits. All the geek.
I did the Stanford previous stints, and now it's like.
Nice. See if that's working. You'll hear music if it is. Can you hear music in there? It's not very loud, but. Yeah. Good.
I'm almost best friends with Lisa at Pokemon Go, so hey.
Oh, what's your Pokemon Go handle? Okie dokie, yeah. Were we best friends? No.
No, your list was full.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay. Well, you know what I did before I quit was I deleted everybody so they wouldn't hang around expecting me to give them gifts. But then, when we went on vacation, Lisa said, you should really have it. So if we see anything interesting, you can. So I did put it back on, but I only have one friend. I don't play it enough to really justify. And it's silly. Once you're at level 40, there's no point in gaining more points. She keeps saying, "Oh no, they're gonna add more levels. Don't you worry." And I said, "Well, I hope they do." She's like at level 60 if they do.
Yeah. I'm almost 100. I have like 90 million points.
Yeah. Once you get to 40, it's just the point thing is no longer really.
No. But back where I'm in the suburb of Toronto, and we have a really nice community there. So
oh, that's neat. Oh, that's the part I kind of. We don't really get that here, but you would see in this same people in the gyms all the time and stuff.
Places and, hey, okie dokie, and it's like somebody,
Yeah, isn't that cool? Yeah, that's so cool. I think that's really cool. Yeah, Harry Potter just didn't. I thought it was going to be as good, and it really wasn't. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. Karen on the line from Diamond Bar, California. Hello, Karen.
Hello. Again, I would shout a hi hooray because I waited all day yesterday to get through.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, but I was promised the week before that you take my calls, but there was no way to figure out how to get through to you.
It's very hard, and I apologize. And
yeah, no, that's fine. You're just a popular guy.
Some radio shows will have hundreds of lines. The problem is I only take maybe 20 calls a day, so there's no point in having hundreds. I mean, I don't want to keep people on hold for the whole show and then never. So we have 6 lines, and if they get full, you're going to get a rapid busy signal, and the trunk will be full, and that's just the way it is. So I'm glad you persisted. Thank you.
Yes, I have luck on my side, I guess. So I had we've spoken before, but the concern I have, I've been a loyal Office Microsoft Office fan for like 30 years, and I would get the updates and the new ones. The latest one that I had, I think, was 07, and then I think I might even have a 10. But the problem is the only value I find in that software is the contacts. The contacts allow me to use it like a file drawer where I can put facts in, numbers, and I don't really need the addresses. I just need, and I'm in my 70s now, so I need to.
It's a database. It's what we call a database for you. And each person that you have like a little file drawer, and you can put all the relevant information in, and it's easy to find. I think that's a great way to use it.
The problem is that, I did the 365, and that was a bust. And I talked to you about complaining, and you said, well, maybe they'll prorate it. They just threw my letter away, I think.
Oh, dear, I'm sorry.
I even had the name of the guy you told me to write to. But anyway, so now I have this, it's 07 and 10. Is there a software that I can transfer this database in? Is there anything compatible to that database?
So you're saying instead of using Outlook, you'd like to use something else?
Well, I don't know how much longer Outlook's going to be around.
Oh, that's not going anywhere.
Oh, it isn't? Okay.
Oh, no. Microsoft's all in on Outlook. In fact, they use the word Outlook, confusingly, for their online email. They use it for other things. But they've also have really committed to doing a very nice, I think, free version of Outlook for iPhone, for Android, for the iPads. Outlook is an important program for them. So I don't think it's going anywhere. And everybody uses email, contacts, and address books. So you can easily. I don't use Outlook for email because it's awful. But
Yes.
But I understand. So you can easily take that data that you've stored in Outlook and export it is the term they use, and you can export it in a way that it can be read by a different program. But I don't. I mean, unless you know of a program you want to move to.
Well, the problem is if I upgrade my computer, I can't install Office 07.
No. But you'll want to. You won't. I don't think you even need to buy Outlook. I think you can just get Outlook. Well, not the full Outlook. You can get it on the web. You might want to look at. So Microsoft offers a web version of Outlook that is free. You might want to look at that and see if it'll do everything you want it to do, and then you can continue to use it forever. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. So let me just look real quickly.
Well, the problem that I had was the 365 really didn't have that. It's just too hard for me to use, and I could never figure out how to get my addresses. But 10 is a little funky too. I really like the 07 Office.
I feel like for some reason I feel like Outlook is free.
I would love it if I could find that.
Yeah. Let me just look here. Try outlook.live.com.
Okay.
Now, you say you don't use it for email. So that's the primary focus there, but they still do have contacts, which is it sounds like that's the most important thing for you.
Yes, it's actually the only valuable
That's
thing.
the only thing you use. So if you go to outlook.live.com, probably your data is already there. I see mine is. At the bottom, on the bottom left, they have an email icon. That's the mail version. They have a calendar icon. That's for calendaring. But they have two little people's heads. That's the people version. That's the contact list that you're using already. One of the reasons it's good for that is because you can connect it to the email as well, so you can keep track of all the emails you've had with that person. It'll connect with LinkedIn. I doubt you're using LinkedIn, but if you were, it would connect. Yeah. So in other words, it becomes a database that is constantly being updated by these other sources. It keeps track of all your communications. That's why people use it as a contact list.
Well, when I pull it up here now, they say here, create a free account, but it says about Outlook, email, and calendar. They don't say anything about
contacts are in there. Do you not have a Microsoft account?
Apparently not. It's not picking it up. I don't know.
Well, So create a Microsoft account. It will not have any information in it, and then you can use your Outlook on your computer to populate that. That will put. The nice thing about that is now your stuff is on the cloud, and as you move from computer to computer, or even on a phone, or let's say you.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah, you never lose it, and that I strongly recommend. If that doesn't suit, Google does the same thing, contacts.google.com, and you can export everything from Outlook into your Google Contacts. So that's another way to do it. And because it's always in the cloud, any changes you make will propagate everywhere. And I mean, that's what I use is Google Contacts, but Outlook Contacts is very similar.
Okay. All right. Well, let me play with this. I had, the Microsoft accounts were always very difficult for me because they had, when they would have your password or sign in stuff, they would do different fonts and numbers. They were the craziest things to.
Well, they really want everybody to have a Microsoft account now. In fact, when you install Windows,
I think I gave up on Microsoft accounts because they were so hard to.
Yeah. So if you don't like that, do you have a Google?
Well, let me try. Let me try it again. I'll try it again.
Yeah, Microsoft's moving towards this subscription model for everything. They don't really want people just to use Office without buying it monthly. So, and the account is part of that. Same thing with Windows. It's very hard to use Windows without a Microsoft account now. That's just the way that it is. But if you already have a Google account, you could also use Google for this.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't look nearly as nice.
No, Outlook is very pretty. I think Outlook does.
And it's easier visually for me to manage.
Good.
All right, let me play with this.
Give it a shot.
That I could do it online.
Yeah, it's in the Microsoft Cloud. Outlook.live.com.
Got it right here. All right. Thank you so much, Leo.
My pleasure, Karen.
I'm back if I have a problem. All right. Thank you much.
We'll talk again soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888. Ask Leo. The phone number, 888-827-5536. About half an hour to go in the show. David on the line from Temecula. Hi, David.
Howdy, Leo. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Great. I'm looking for a couple recommendations from you on a tablet that I'd like to buy.
Okay.
But before I do that, I have to tell you my wife says a hearty hello. She loves you.
What's your wife's name, David?
My wife's name is Dana.
Hi, Dana. I'm waving at her right now.
yourself.
I love it. That's great. Thank you. Look, is she a geek or is she like Juliet? She puts up with you.
She said she's the least techie person you'll know.
Yeah.
So, she puts up with me.
Nice. You gotta love your local geek. Take care of them.
Right. You got to have someone to turn to.
That's right. That's right. We need them. What can I do for you?
So I'm looking for a tablet, and I'd like maybe a couple recommendations from you. I'll give you my tall order, and then you can give me a short answer, hopefully.
All right.
I'm looking for something that's Chrome OS based, and I would like it to be something that has a projector on it as well, because we kind of like to sit on the patio, and I got a kind of a cool spot I'd like to project on, when I want to watch the news in the morning, and I need it to be able to cast. So that's pretty much my requirement. Is there anything you could recommend?
I know of Android tablets that they're not tablets, they're actually projectors that have Android on them. You want a projector like with a light that shines a beam and puts it on a screen on the tablet?
Yeah. And someone had told me that such a beast might exist now in tablet form.
There was this brief period of time. They call these Pico projectors because they're tiny. Pico's even smaller than Nano, which is smaller than Micro. And for a while, you'd go to the Consumer Electronics Show, and everywhere you'd look, there'd be a Pico projector. But those seem to have primarily disappeared. I'm looking, for instance, at the Lenovo Yoga Tab, which came out in 2015, and had a built-in projector. But I don't know if it was a category that died or not. Let me look at and see if Lenovo's still. Oh yeah, it looks like they still are. The Yoga Tablet 3 Pro. It's not Chrome OS, probably. It's probably Android. But it's Android. Wow, this thing. Oh, don't buy this. It's got Android 6. This is the same one that they were selling in 2015. Okay, they haven't updated it. I feel like this is a category that everybody thought was going to be the next big thing, and it seems to have just kind of drifted away. ZTE has an Android device. I don't know of any Chrome OS tablets that... first of all, Chrome OS tablets are few and far between. Even Google gave up on it. They made one last year, the Slate, and they stopped making. Well, I guess they still sell it. They really don't push it anymore. They have the Chromebook Go instead.
What about a really small laptop then that might have such a feature built in?
I think you're going to get a separate projector, to be honest with you.
Really?
Yeah, I think this, as I said, I think this was something people thought, everybody will want this. And for some reason, it just didn't take off. I'll tell you why, probably. A decent projector generates a ton of heat with the lamp. It needs fans. It needs a big lens. Often you're going to want keystone corrections and other things that make it just very bulky. If you look at that Lenovo, it's not a tablet. It's crazy looking. It's huge. And the reason is because you have to support this electronics. So it's the worst of both worlds. You get a tablet that's way bigger than it ought to be, way more complex, and a projector that's not as good as it ought to be because it has to fit into a tablet form factor. I think you're better off just separating the two. Now, many Chrome devices have HDMI out, which means you could connect And this is, by the way, what we do in our conference room. We used to, most conference rooms used to have projectors and screens. Now we just have a big screen TV in there, and we have the HDMI cable just trailing off of it. And if anybody wants to put up a PowerPoint in the conference room, they just connect the HDMI to their laptop, and it's a better connection, and it looks great. So maybe that's the solution for you, is to either get a projector that you can connect to and just leave it outside, or an HDMI cable to your TV.
Tablet. What about a good Chrome tablet that might just be able to cast?
Yeah, you can. That's the other way you could do it, is with Chromecast. That's right. So that's a wireless connection to a TV. There, as I said, even Google seems to have given up on Chrome tablets. There's some issues, but if you really want a Chrome tablet, I think you could still get the Google Pixel Slate, they called it. That was probably the best, not the cheapest. HP makes a Chromebook tablet, and Acer makes a Chromebook tablet. The nice thing is Chrome OS is a very stable, nice operating system. Obviously, you must know that because you're asking for it.
You sold me on that years ago.
Yeah, I'm a big fan.
I don't use the Microsoft window at all anymore. I mean, I'm just so glad not to deal with viruses. So.
Oh, yeah. And the truth is, what most people do in their computer is they spend most of their time in the browser. So you don't need more than that. I think you're probably better off, if you really want a Chrome tablet, I would go with a Pixel Slate. That's probably the best. And then just either Chromecast, you could put, if you have a TV outside, you can just put a little Chromecast on it and Chromecast from the tablet.
There you go.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best way. You're going to get the best results. It's going to best picture, and you won't be compromising on either the projector or the tablet that way.
Is streaming pretty good on the Google Pixel?
Yeah, it really depends on your internet, your connection. How good your Wi-Fi is, how good the signal is, and all that stuff. Let me just make sure that they're still selling. Yeah, they still sell the Pixel Slate. It's not super cheap, but it's pretty nice. It's like the Surface. It has Microsoft Surface. It has a detachable keyboard. That's it's a pretty decent thing. The reviews were negative because I think Chrome OS. Well, I don't know. I don't know why Google stopped promoting it. Maybe, I don't know. The truth is their newest, the Pixelbook Go, is really the Slate with a physical keyboard built in. So beautiful. They haven't given up, I guess, on that hardware. But
I don't care what it costs. I got to keep my wife happy.
That's that's my motto. They start at $800. That's probably all you need. Yeah.
A cheap investment for happiness.
Happiness is all, and it's actually a very nice tablet. It's got a good screen. It's Google makes the best Chromebooks. They're just also the most expensive.
Well, thank you, Leo.
My pleasure.
Everything.
All right.
You have a wonderful holiday season.
Thank you. You too. Take care, David. I'm not sure why Chrome tablets have just not taken off. It might be a lack of, I can't think of why it would be. Android tablets were bad because there weren't a lot of good tablet apps for Android. But Chrome is, the Chrome OS is really designed for that form factor. So I don't know. I'm not sure why Google stopped, but they're still selling it. It's not their newest, latest, greatest. You'll probably want the keyboard, which is an additional cost. By the time you trick it out, it ends up costing the same as a fairly high-end laptop. Maybe that's where the problem lay. The Pixelbook Go is a little less expensive. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. We're going to take a little break, a little time out. Come back with the last segment of the show. This weekend has whizzed by. I'm so glad you're here, and I will talk to you, I hope, in just a couple of minutes. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Thank you, Lady Laura, our musical director, for doing a great job today. To Kim Schaffer, our phone angel, for answering the phones. Most importantly, thank you for being here. When you take vacation, you worry when you come back, everybody will have forgotten you. And you've been so nice, so kind, and I just love doing this show. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for calling in if you did. And I couldn't do it without you. So I thank you. Now it's your turn, Eddie. Thank you.
Yeah, Leo, so I was basically asking about a printer.
I did not plan this. Have we ever met, Eddie? Okay, what are you looking for in a printer?
Basically, color.
Yep.
Something simple. I don't print a whole lot.
Are you doing photo printing, or do you just want like color printout? You know, what we call business color.
Yeah, business color.
Okay. Because photo printing, that's another matter. And by the way, I still recommend Epson. They have the best photo printers out there, super high quality. But you don't have. They're more expensive because they're designed for photo printing. You have to use photo paper, all that stuff. For just regular everyday printing, Epson makes the EcoTanks. That's our sponsor. They're very good. I would not look away from laser. Lasers don't do color as well. But you said you don't print a lot. And one of the negatives about inkjets, and maybe you've had this experience, is if you don't print often, the nozzles can get clogged, and you can use a lot of ink cleaning the nozzles. That's not such a big deal if you're using an EcoTank because you got plenty of ink, but it can add up if you're using cartridges. So when you say I don't print a lot, how often do you print?
It may be, I don't know, twice a week, perhaps.
Oh, that's enough. All right. If you only printed once a month, I'd say don't get an inkjet. But if you print twice a week, that's enough to keep the nozzles running fine. Epson tells me that they've coated the heads on their EcoTank printers with a special coating that prevents clogging, so that's less of an issue. A couple of times a week. Do you print on? Do you do scanning? Do you do anything else like color copying?
Yeah, scanning would be good.
Yeah. So that's what we call an all-in-one or multifunction printer. What I use, the EcoTank I use, has scanning. It has color copying. It's nice to have a scanner, especially one that'll run over the network, because there's times, like, I make a copy of my passport or my driver's license or my credit cards. It's nice to have those. It makes it easy, if you lose something to get a replacement, that kind of thing. I scan receipts and so forth. So it's handy to have a scanner. I'd say, it sounds like I'm shilling for them, but I think those Epson EcoTanks are really good. I can't recommend them more highly. They have a price range. There's a number of different price points. Remember, they're going to cost a little more because you don't buy cartridges. You're getting about 2 years of ink with the printer. So you have to think about how much that would have cost you in cartridges, and that'll tell you you're actually getting a better deal. But at first, you might get some sticker shock. There are companies that'll sell you a printer for $50, $60 because they're going to make all the money back in the ink cartridges, right? That's not the EcoTank. The EcoTank, they're giving you 2 years of ink. So I wouldn't get the least expensive EcoTank. I would get I have a 4550 I like. I'd get, you got to remember your budget and everything, but get the EcoTank that gives you the best bang for your buck, I guess is what I would say. And don't go for the cheap. Anytime you get a printer under $100, well, they're making it up somehow. Can't say enough about the Epson EcoTanks. I really like them.
All right, cool.
All right, I think the 4550. I'm trying to think what the price is. A few $100, couple $100. It's not expensive. I appreciate the call. And we've never met before. You don't work for Epson. Just want to make that clear. Robert, Fountain Valley, California. Hello, Robert. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo.
Hey.
I was listening to, can you hear me?
I hear you great.
Oh, I was listening to you earlier, and you were worried about people forgetting you when you went on vacation.
Well, that Rich DeMuro, he's a good-looking fella. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. He doesn't cut mustard like he did.
Oh, you're nice. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I have a loss of data problem.
Uh-oh.
I have 2 USB drives that I was going to take off the computer and hook up another blank USB drive to copy a bunch of old drives to it and then destroy the old drives.
Okay.
I used a feature that I had actually no knowledge of what it did, but when you're using it in the browser and you go offline, you can go back online. But in the case of putting a USB driver offline using Windows 10 features, and then subsequently attempting to put the drives back online, there is no feature to put them online, and they show up as unformatted.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, this is using Windows 10 through and through. And,
so let me understand what's going on here. So you copied some stuff to a USB drive, removed the drive, and then the next time you plugged it back in, nothing was on it.
It says it's unformatted. I know that there's gigabytes, maybe terabytes of data on them. But like I say, I told the young lady that answered the phone that I realized in hindsight that I should have ejected them.
Well, okay, so Windows and Mac both do something when they're writing to drives. They cache the data, and sometimes if you unplug it before the cache gets flushed, you'll lose some data. That doesn't mean the drive will look like it's unformatted. So while they always scream, actually Windows doesn't, but Marquardt always screams if you disconnect a USB drive without ejecting it first. And Windows does say you should eject it first. It isn't going to destroy the drive. That ejecting thing means merely flush the caches, anything that you may have tried to write to the drive but didn't yet get around to. Make sure you flush that before we eject the drive. That's all. And it's not going to destroy the drive if you just unplug it.
Well, what did
so was the drive when you plugged the drive in and copied to it? You just plugged it in and it saw the capacity and you were able to copy to it and it didn't complain. Everything worked fine, right?
I have been using these two drives for a couple of years, doing backup and saving files and things like that.
What kind of drives are they?
I was Seagate. One's a HD.
So one issue that's possible, and when you moved these, when you copied the data, is it a different computer you're connecting the drive to, or
when these drives were, I'm reasonably confident there was no data being transmitted to these drives. All I wanted to do was free up a couple of USB ports on the computer to copy other drives to another drive. Does that make sense?
No, I'm completely confused now. I thought you said you copied data onto it. You're saying you didn't copy data?
No, I had two drives that I was using. And in the process of attempting to free up the USB ports, I decided to put them offline. And utilizing the feature in Windows 10 of going offline on a USB drive.
Oh dear, yeah. I don't. Normally, you would just eject it and take it off. You wouldn't.
Yeah, thanks. I said that. In hindsight, I realized I should have just ejected that. Thanks.
You took it offline. You went to a driver and you said, "Take this drive offline." I don't know what's going on now. If you copied data onto a drive, if the drive was formatted and you had been able to use it, and now you plug it in and it says there's nothing there, then perhaps the drive got damaged, the USB interface got damaged. Whatever you do, don't reformat the drive because that will erase whatever data is there. I would go into the storage manager, put those drives back online, and see if they're there because it doesn't sound like anything bad's happened to it. Thanks for joining me, everybody. See you next time. Have a great Geek Week. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.